Stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
It's 12 after 6 o'clock. Let's take a look at what's making headlines on the country's national papers. So the front page of the Sowetan, there's a picture there in Lesotho. A tractor stands abandoned after heavy snowfall blanketed the Afriski mountain resort, and it is absolutely white with snow. In the Eastern Cape, several roads were closed while authorities monitored routes during the sudden snowfall in the province. Again, all you see is the blanket of white. And they also have a picture of a farmer, Joseph Dlamini, tending to his sheep in the snow on a farm near Swartberg in the southern Drakensberg. Yeah, I mean, the pictures look absolutely beautiful. You can't even think sometimes that is this happening in South Africa, really? But the snowfall this time around is really, really showing off. And you'll see all of that on the front page of the Sowetan. But an important story that they're also running, and this is around the Reiger Park murders. Killed while out to buy firewood, reads the headline there. Jaden Machman and Rolene Lessing were gunned down in Reiger Park in Boksburg. Relatives say the two women spent last moments at their granny's home before they were ambushed outside a local store. And cops are questioning persons of interest after rifles stolen from anti-gang officers on the same night are now recovered. And it's always the case, right? We mark Women's Day, we celebrate the advances that women have made, but the issue of women's safety, as reiterated and acknowledged by the president in his speech too, is just so rife, and it takes away so much from the gains that have been made. The front page of the Citizen this morning, they're also going with the snow by and large, and they've got a picture of Grayson van der Spy, and Grayson looks about 9 or 10 years old, playing in the snow at the Afriski mountain resort in Lesotho. It is absolutely white at Afriski, a mountain resort. And then the story that the Citizen rather is going with: aviation's cozy contract click. Why a liquidated company not only stays on the books of the Civil Aviation Authority as a trusted supplier, but also wins dodgy tenders. That's what Minister Barbara Creasy also wants to know, as she orders a probe after the Citizen asked some hard questions. So an exclusive story they're going with. The front page of the Business Day: slow going in reforms to fix spatial inequality. Operation Vulindlela struggles with apartheid legacy. And it says about 80% of the reforms outlined in the second phase of Operation Vulindlela to address South Africa's spatial inequality are either delayed or off track. And it underscores the great task of tackling the lingering legacy of apartheid. And they also have a picture there of thousands of supporters in the DA turning up for the launch of the party's local government election manifesto, and the DA there vowing to end cadre municipal deployment. The front page of the Star, they're focusing on South Africa's doctor unemployment crisis and the extent to which it is deepening. Staff shortages, increased workloads, all of it they point to signs that could lead to immigration for many qualified South African doctors. So that's what you can expect to find making front page news on the country's dailies.
National Briefing on SAFM with Kathy Motlatlana.
It's 17 after 6 o'clock, and as you can imagine, a lot in store weather-wise, so listen carefully. I'll start with the warnings. There's an orange level 6 warning for disruptive snow resulting to disruptions to livelihood, major traffic disruptions, and some communities inaccessible as expected over Emalahleni, Sakisizwe, Sengu, Elundini, and Matatiele local municipalities in the Eastern Cape. A yellow level 2 warning for disruptive snow leading to localized traffic disruptions, isolated loss of livestock and crops, and localized disruptions to services is expected in places over the northeastern parts of the Eastern Cape, east and south of the Free State, as well as along the Lesotho border, the western parts of KwaZulu-Natal, the southeastern parts of Gauteng, and southwestern parts of Mpumalanga. A yellow level 2 warning for severe thunderstorms with heavy downpours leading to localized flooding of susceptible damages and settlements, rather roads and bridges. Strong damaging winds and possible small amount of hail is expected over some parts of Mpumalanga and the eastern parts of Limpopo. A yellow level 2 warning for damaging winds and waves resulting in disruption of small harbors or ports, danger in navigation, disruption of coastal activities, damage to infrastructure and settlements, and injuries and danger to life from flying debris is expected along the coast of KwaZulu-Natal. A yellow level 2 warning for damaging winds resulting in damage to settlements, formal and informal, localized reduced visibility due to dust storms, and localized damage to temporary structures is expected over the northern parts of the Western Cape coast and the Witzenberg municipality of the Western Cape, and over the Namakwa district, except the northeastern parts of Pofadder municipality of the Northern Cape. A yellow level 1 warning for damaging winds leading to difficulty in navigation at sea is expected between Table Bay and Cape Agulhas from Tuesday morning until Wednesday. Fire warnings, extremely high fire danger conditions are expected over the Richtersveld municipality. Advisories, very cold, wet and windy conditions can be expected over the southern parts of the Free State, Northern Cape, Gauteng and Mpumalanga, as well as the interior of the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal, where snowfalls are possible over the mountainous areas and rough seas along the coast. Farmers and the public in general are advised to take the necessary precautions. All right, let's get into your area weathers. Pretoria, cloudy with scattered shower and thunder showers, 5 and 8. The expected UVB sunburn index is low. Johannesburg, cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 3 and 4. Vereeniging, cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 3 and 6. Mbombela, cloudy with widespread rain and showers, 9 and 12. Polokwane, cloudy with scattered rain and showers, 6 and 17. Mahikeng, partly cloudy and windy, becoming cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 4 and 14. Vryburg, partly cloudy and windy, becoming cloudy, 3 and 16. Bloemfontein, cloudy and windy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 2 and 13. Kimberley, partly cloudy and windy, 2 and 14. Uppington, partly cloudy, becoming fine and windy, 5 and 19. Cape Town, cloudy, becoming fine from the afternoon, wind moderate to fresh southeasterly, 11 and 20. The expected UVB sunburn index very high. George, cloudy to partly cloudy with light wind in the morning, and the wind there moderate to fresh easterly to southeasterly, 8 and 16. Gqeberha, cloudy with isolated showers and rain, becoming partly cloudy. Wind moderate to fresh southeasterly, becoming easterly, 10 and 15. Kugombo City, cloudy with isolated showers and rain. Wind moderate to fresh southeasterly, 10 and 15. Durban, cloudy with scattered showers and rain. Wind moderate to fresh southerly to southeasterly, 13 and 17. The expected UVB sunburn index is low. In Richards Bay, cloudy with scattered showers and rain. Wind fresh to strong southerly to southeasterly, 12 and 16. And in Pietermaritzburg, cloudy with scattered showers and rain, 5 and 11.
Durban, the promenade is calling and the purple wave is taking over the East Coast. It's time to lace up for the Hollywood Bets Durban 10-kilometer road race on Sunday, 30 August. The race covers the beautiful tour of the city, combining urban streets, scenic coastal roads, and stunning beachfront stretches with views of the Indian Ocean. Catch all the action live on SABC2 and SABC Plus from 7 a.m. on Sunday, 30th of August. The Hollywood Bets Durban 10-kilometer road race brought to you by SABC Sports.
For the love of the game.
The Global Briefing on SAFM. You are listening to the National Briefing with Kathy Mutlatlana.
All right, it's 22 after 6 o'clock. Let's get then into our global briefing for this morning. And we're going to start it off in the UK, right? And that's where we're seeing a decade after Brexit and that referendum that was held there. Britain's chief EU negotiator, Hamish Falconer, says London wants a deeper and more ambitious relationship with Europe, particularly on trade, services, security, and technology. And this is all the while insisting that rejoining the single market or customs union remains off the table. Well, let's get more into this story now to unpack exactly what is happening in the United Kingdom, in the United Kingdom, and why is it really that we seem to be back here on this very particular issue. Sandile Mguni is a lecturer in political science and international relations with the School of Social Sciences at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Sandile, good morning to you. Thanks for your time this morning.
A very good morning, Katie, and the viewers and the listeners at home.
Clearly, a lot can happen in a decade. The more things change, seemingly, the more they want to stay the same.
Yes, I think for the United Kingdom, the realization is that there are some issues that they clearly cannot be able to just ignore. Issues of trade, on issues of security, but on issues of economy in general, and also around the issues of how they are trying to make a distinction between the United Kingdom leaving the European Union institutionally, but also trying to be part of Europe in terms of strategic alignment and also in terms of the economy.
So does this mean that it's an acknowledgement that Brexit has not offered all it promised?
Not really. I think somehow, yes, we can say that they are realizing it's not offering what it's promised because in terms of security, because of the instability, because of the world that we can currently see that is unpredictable, both economically but also in terms of security. It seems very clear that it didn't keep up in terms of what it promised, in terms of what they thought they would achieve. But then on the other side, clearly they are making it clear that they don't want to reverse the Brexit. They are trying to negotiate around the Brexit, which could be seen as being strategic, trying to have some cooperation with the European countries whilst maintaining economic opportunities that exist.
In the Middle East, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected President Donald Trump's 15-point Gaza plan and also insisting that Israel will not withdraw its forces until Hamas is fully disarmed. It's not often we see disagreement between Netanyahu and Trump. What do you make of this?
Yeah, it's not so often, but it's becoming a pattern recently. And I think this is a classic case of a security dilemma. The issue of sequencing, who should disarm first, and uh, both of these actors are of the view that if one disarms first or if one withdraws from it arms, there will be a security threat. There will be a real security threat. I think it's just the issue of assurance that is at stake here.
And if we go and look at the latest coming out of the United Nations, Rebecca Grynspan, she's taken an early lead in the race to become the first woman to run the United Nations. What do we know about her?
I think she has been. She has been a forerunner based on how she has gained some sort of preliminary being the favorite. What we know about her is that she's the former vice president of Costa Rica and also currently Secretary General of the United Nations Trade and Development. And more interestingly, there are a number of these milestones that if she is to be selected as the Secretary General, that she would achieve. But what we also know is that she is seen as to be the candidate of continuity who will take over from the current Secretary General. And most interestingly about her is that she's likely to become the first female Secretary General, but also a first Secretary General coming from the region of Central America, but also as the first Secretary General with the history of being Jewish.
Wow, so a lot of firsts.
Being Jewish.
Wow, so a lot of firsts there. Sandile Mguni, lecturer in political science and international relations with the University of KwaZulu-Natal.
Call SAFM now on 086 000 2032.
Let me bring in your early calls. Willie, you're calling from Kuma. Good morning.
Good morning, Casey. Look, Casey, man.
Yes.
You see, there's a phrase that it's a man-made phrase actually. Safety first. Safety first. On all costs, Casey. You are there at the studio, and then you can be attacked easily. And it happened 20 years ago or 15 years ago. The studio there was attacked by the Mozambicans. I remember vividly. Okay? And you can deny that, Casey, saying that, no, man, Constitution says, let us protect them. Then we are going to die. This is my point, Casey. South Africa is a failed state, and you are going to argue to say, no, you have to fail it. It's a failed state on many fronts. But I'm
Willie?
just choosing gangsterism.
Willie, I don't remember a time where the SABC was attacked, as you allege, by Mozambicans.
You're still young.
Oh,
you're
okay.
Still young, Casey. And
it was before my time.
Yeah, but they say the part of SABC and took the cameras and blah 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 around SABC there. You see, and it happened. And Latuduna also was killed by the foreigners. Let me come to my point, Casey. And I knew you defend the foreigners. And you look at Haiti. Haiti, you must listen. Haiti is being invaded by its own people, gangsterism. So in other words, Haiti is a failed state like South Africa being a failed state, and some people argue that no, particularly officials will say, it's not a failed state, blah 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 blah. What do we do now? Kenya tried to come to Haiti's rescue, sending its armies over there. So South Africa is heading for that. And you would say now, because you look it over the face, you say that thing, it's not going to happen. What do you say?
Okay. Willie, we're going to have to leave it there. So I think Willie's referring to when one of our colleagues, Vuyom Vogo, got mugged when he was on air during a live crossing. That wasn't directly outside the SABC studios, but the point is around violence and gangsterism that has gotten out of control. 6:30, time for your latest headlines.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, the National Coloured Congress MP Fadil Adams is unlikely to testify before the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. He was subpoenaed to appear today, but the Commission spokesperson, Jeremy Michael, says evidence leaders only received his sworn affidavit last night. Government has urged the public to remain vigilant and exercise extreme caution as severe weather conditions affect several parts of the country. The conditions include rainfall, heavy snowfall, extreme cold temperatures and strong winds. And the head of the military intelligence for one of Libya's rival administrations has been killed in a car bomb outside his home in Benghazi. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic. SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Some overnight early morning snow around Ladysmith, Newcastle, up through Majuba Pass could leave conditions slippery this morning. Also, we reported snow around Boters Pass. That's the road between Newcastle and Memel, the R34. The road is open and it is drivable, although very thick snow in the fields out that side. Van Rienen's open. Nottingham Road open towards Durban after yesterday's crash. Pietermaritzburg. Side Van Rienen's open. Nottingham Road open towards Durban after yesterday's crash. Pietermaritzburg bypass section open, all lanes reopen after yesterday's crash scene there as well. A little bit of traffic coming out of Durban's Phoenix area. JG Champion leaving Palmview, Phoenix Highway leaving Phoenix towards Trade Centre. Both of those routes are busy. Joburg, the N1 North, a breakdown before Malabongwe. Traffic starting to pile up there. N12 is heavy this morning. A crash near Tom Jones Street through to Atlas Road. Big queues all the way back through Snake Road and back towards the Pitfontein exit. In Cape Town, a lot of traffic on the way now into the city centre. N1 under a bit of pressure from Belleville right through to Sable Road. N2 from the airport right through to Mowbray Main Road. And Baden Powell along the coast jamming up from Mitchell's Plain, moving slowly towards Strandfontein Road. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAfm Sport.
With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAfm Sport with Zai Khan.
It's 6:33. Zakan, good morning. So we're looking at Banyana.
Hey, Kathy, they've got the scenic route. And this is after being knocked out, in the quarterfinal by the host Morocco. They now have to take on Nigeria. And that's on a Thursday. Looking forward to going over that hurdle and heading to the World Cup, which is happening in Brazil. But head coach Desiree Ellis admits the road may be tougher, but says the focus is firmly on the opportunity that lies ahead.
We just got to take time to recover, because that's going to be important. Recovery is going to be really important. I think we put a lot into the match. So recovery is going to be important. We also have to travel back. I think that also takes a lot out of players, but we've got to be up for it. This is another opportunity. It's a long route, but it gives us another opportunity if we really want to make that effort to go to the World Cup.
Let's go to more soccer news. Mamelodi Sundowns get their Betway Premiership campaign underway tomorrow evening when they travel to Mbombela to face TS Galaxy. Coach saying that his side are not yet at their best after a demanding pre-season and MTN8 extra time victory over Polokwane City. Galaxy meanwhile opened their season with a 2-2 draw and will be looking to make home advantage count. Kick-off at 7:30. Now, more news coming out of football, where the Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is reportedly close to becoming part-time owner of the Liverpool Football Club, with a consortium including the Facebook co-founder Eduardo Saverin nearing a deal to acquire around a 1/3 stake in the Premier League champions. The investment is expected to the club at approximately $5.9 billion, making it one of the biggest valuations in football history. The current owners, Fenway Sports Group, are expected to retain control while bringing in strategic investors as the commercial value of the football clubs continues to soar. On to cricket, and Faye Tunnicliffe continuing her outstanding form as South Africa Emerging Women wrapped up the 3-match T20 series against Bangladesh with a 7-wicket victory at the Chatsworth Oval in Durban. The hosts chased down 76 with ease to take a 2-0 lead just days after sealing the one-day series. Here's Tanicliff.
So the 50 over and T20 series wins are really cool. We've kind of had the mentality going in that winning is kind of collateral to us following our processes, and we've done that pretty well as a unit. And I think there's a lot of young talent coming through, and we've kind of been given the freedom to express ourselves, which has been really cool. So yeah, but really stoked with it. The group has been really cool, and there's been a lot of hard work gone into it.
That's your National Briefing Sports. Swing back for more. Top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
This FNB Market Brief is brought to you by FNB Business, empowering South African entrepreneurs with the relevant insights they need to grow and succeed every day. The Market Brief with Ndawleng Lechela on SAFM.
You're still tuned in to the National Briefing. It's 6:36 now. Ndawleng, good morning to you. So when we see the sensitivity of the oil price, especially around hopes of an Iran deal, it tells us just how much hope and expectation the market still has that this could potentially end, but it's not getting there. So oil jumps yet again as Trump demands are clouding those hope and expectation the market still has that this could potentially end, but it's not getting there. So oil jumps yet again as Trump demands are clouding those hopes of an Iran deal.
Good morning, Kathy. It just shows us how fluid the situation is. Honestly, it feels like we take 5 steps forward and 10 steps back. And this time around, we are taking steps back with oil prices holding near 1-week highs after President Trump's latest demands on Iran dimmed hopes of a deal that could fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Now, Brent is currently trading above $87 a barrel. This comes as Trump calls for Tehran to pay compensation for war-related deaths and damage, adding another hurdle to negotiations. Iran, in the meantime, has insisted on compensation, sanctions relief, and an end to military threats before agreeing to fully reopen the waterway. Now, the market reaction reflects renewed concern over supply disruptions, with oil exports through the waterway falling to about 3 million barrels a day last week from 4.4 million previously. Over in company news, the AI boom showing little signs of slowing, with chip demand from companies such as Nvidia and Google continuing to drive strong growth at Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing. Now, TSMC is the world's biggest contract chip maker, and it reported July sales of about $14.5 billion, up 44.7% from a year earlier. Now, the strong performance comes as investors increasingly question whether big tech's huge AI investments will generate sufficient returns. TSMC, which manufactures chips for some of the industry's biggest names, expects revenue to grow by more than 40% this year and has raised its capital spending plans to as much as $64 billion, signaling confidence that AI demand remains robust. And then checking in on market action, stocks kicking off the week on a sour note, with Wall Street closing in the red as doubts grow over whether the US and Iran can reach a lasting resolution to the conflict anytime soon. Now, that's pushed oil closer to $90 a barrel, further weighing on risk appetite. Over in Asia, trade is choppy this morning as investors keep a close eye on the inflation outlook. Now, that's likely to weigh on the JSE today, with the local bourse also playing catch up after the long weekend. And then lastly, in currency markets, the rand remains on firmer footing. It's at 16.19 to the dollar, 21.87 to the pound, and 18.69 against the euro. I'll hit pause at this point and throw it back to you, Kathy, for the business tip of the day.
Thanks, Ntauleng. Your F&B business tip of the day: no entrepreneur succeeds entirely on their own. Behind many successful businesses is a support network of mentors, partners, customers and organizations that help create opportunities for growth. For women entrepreneurs in particular, access to business networks, development opportunities and market connections can often make a meaningful difference in helping businesses move beyond survival and into long-term growth. Enterprise and supply development programs are designed to support this journey by helping businesses strengthen their capabilities, improve competitiveness, and access opportunities that may otherwise be difficult to reach. This week, take a moment to consider whether your business is making full use of the resources, partnership and growth opportunities available within your industry or community. On Wednesday, we'll discuss how women-owned businesses can unlock greater growth through the right support, networks and opportunities.
The F&B Market Brief was brought to you by F&B Business, your dedicated partner with decades of expertise building and growing South African businesses. F&B, help changes everything. F&B Business is proud to partner with SAFM's The National Briefing. We stand shoulder to shoulder with South African entrepreneurs and businesses because we know building a business is a 24/7 commitment. Whether you're managing cash flow, planning for growth, or navigating challenges, we deliver the sharp insights and practical solutions you need to move forward with confidence. From smart funding options to expert business advice, F&B Business is right there with you. Visit fnb.co.za/business. fnb.co.za/business. F&B, help changes everything. Africa in Focus with Advocate Sipho Mantula on SAFM.
6:42, you're still tuned into the National Briefing. A refreshing morning to you, Advocate Mandula. So we'll start off this morning in Dar es Salaam. This is where the Tanzanian opposition leader, Tundu Lissu, his treason trial is resuming.
Refreshing morning to Skate and Jumbo Africa on a very cold morning across South Africa. The treason trial of Tundu Lissu case has been taking time. There was a 5-month pause around it. Arrested almost since 2025 in April, charged for this treason, trying to attempt to overthrow the government, which is not true because this is a lawyer who has been very vocal about the current challenges that faces Tanzania. But when you look at this treason trial, yes, the media will flaunt this stance of this death penalty, but I think this is a case of test to the presidency of Samia Sulu about how to deal with this case. This case, like I said, it dates back even during the times of Pombe Magufuli, the late president of Tanzania. So it is back on the court case. We'll close the monitor aid because Tanzania is still reeling from the post-election violence of 2025.
We're seeing Madagascar moving to reclaim colonial-era land. This is in a push for sovereignty.
That's quite true. And they're looking back at their Independence Day or their Liberation Day of 1960, June 26. If you have been to Madagascar, you will see that case that indeed most of the state land, it is owned by foreigners. You know, many South Africans, they own even land in Seychelles, Mauritius, Madagascar. But there, I will tell you, it is the French. You find that there's a French interest, but the government of Madagascar, through a front door, by the way, now going to the Constitutional Court, going to the Parliament, approving these processes of now registering what they call the foreign occupied land in that island. A very big island, Katie, if one can look into, but it has been going through military coups. It was a former chair of the SADC. So when you look at those islands, the scattered ones that are going to be repossessed from those who have taken it by force, it will be closely to the Mozambique Channel. So Antananarivo, going back to its glorious case, because repossession of land in the African continent is a major process that will benefit ordinary people.
All right, and Zambia's election, we're 2 sleeps away from that.
That is quite true. Remember yesterday we were giving numbers of SADC. Now we see AU COMESA having to deploy
almost very few numbers, Casey. 106 SADC. AU COMESA, they only have 93 short-term observers who are drawn from different African countries to be part of the AU election observer mission in Zambia. Very important, these elections. Tomorrow we'll get into who's voting, Casey, and what are the issues and tissues, and no further issues.
All right, we'll certainly be watching that election with keen interest. Our historical archive today takes us to the 11th of August, 1960, and this is one that South Africans love, right?
Absolutely, and 66 years ago. Let's take them through this archive before we can spill those beans.
King Kong, the story is of a young black South African, a boxing champion, Ezekiel Dlamini. Because he was so big and so strong, he was called King Kong. He simply couldn't care less about other people until he met this girl, somebody called Joyce. And he fell in love with her and she fell in love with him. And then she lets him down. Can you imagine how he must have felt about that? The only person who really ever attracted him.
The sound courtesy of the Fugard Theatre, and the voice is of Esma Machikiza, the widow of Todd Machikiza. Todd Machikiza wrote the musical for this play called the King Kong. The African band, jazz, musical. People like Mire Makeba were part of it. Hugh Masekela, the Phyllis Ngoma, even Hwebikesi. Now, this day they were given passports to travel to London in 1960 on the 11th of August. A very important historical moment where you have an African members of this original cast called the King Kong going to London between 1959 and 1961. Others did not return, Katie. They went since the 60s. They only returned in 1990. And we know who are those people. Boma Mira Makeba, Abo Brahu, and the Union of South Africa, Abo, the late Jonas Kwangwa. So that's our history today, Katie, as we're looking to our archives on the Africa in Focus. Asante Sana, Katie, as we're leading the conversation. SAFM observing the Women's Month.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Just want to start at KZN. No major snow-related closures this morning. That was yesterday. 24 hours later this morning, everything's sort of drying out. That includes roads around the Underberg area, all open through there. Snow last night around Ladysmith up through Newcastle into Majuba, but that was all sort of eased up. There may be a little bit of a restriction on R34 between Newcastle and Memel with some sort of fresh early morning snow along that R34 corridor, but not aware that road is closed, but there are certainly some delays on it. Joburg this morning, crash earlier on the N12 at Tom Jones being cleared, but it's just really busy from Pitfontein through Benoni down towards Boksburg this morning. N1 North has a breakdown before Malabongwe, so delays coming through from 14th Avenue. N1 through Midrand, already busy. Old Joburg Road down to New Road, and if you're on the mighty Mopani Highway this morning, lots of traffic between Block XX and SK and Pathali. Also crash on Sefaka Makato at the N1, slowing traffic coming out of Montana. Cape Town, busy on the highways, all of them, including the R300 North. That's queuing up into Van Riebeek. And no lights this morning. Marine Drive at Boundary Road, coming out of Milnerton into Parton Island, already queuing. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
90 years of conversations. Recaptured, relived, and projected. SAFM. SAFM. Prime time all day long.
It's 6:49. You're still listening to the national briefing. So certainly, if you take a look on social media, South Africans are making the most of the snow, right? It's one of those stories, very fun story, very fun thing for South Africans to be able to participate in. But of course, there is the other side where it's not just about the fun in the snow. It's also about road safety and access. And we know that snow and ice have been affecting routes across the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal and Free State. In the Eastern Cape, forecasts are pointing to disruptive snow, heavy rain, and damaging winds, and of course a high risk of some communities being cut off. Unati Bingoshe is a spokesperson for the Eastern Cape Department of Transport. Unati, good morning to you. Thanks for your time. So let's talk about the situation in the Eastern Cape currently. What's the state of the road and which routes have been restricted or do you consider to be very high risk?
Look, we wake up to much improved conditions this morning as all the mountain passes have since been reopened. The snow has subsided, but unfortunately on the N6 between Queenstown and Jamestown, one of the major arteries connecting us with the northern provinces like Gauteng via the Free State, though the snow has subsided, it has since been replaced by thick fog and drizzle, which makes for poor driving conditions. But the road is open and we do have some officers monitoring the situation. But I can safely say that all the mountain passes have since been reopened to traffic, and thankfully the snow has subsided. But we know we're not out of the woods as yet because conditions in those mountain passes remain wet and slippery, so would urge road users, motorists in particular, to approach those with extreme caution. The low-lying areas, Kathy, up to the coast, we continue to experience steady rainfalls and of course some mist in some areas, so the conditions are just not ideal for driving at all.
At this point, do we still have communities that are at risk of being isolated?
Look, we haven't experienced flooding, which often is the major cause of communities being isolated. So we're thankful for that, but we're keeping an eye on all those areas, working very closely with local municipalities that are feeding information to us so that if there are roads that are badly affected by these steady rains in the Eastern Cape, we're able to respond to them. We did hear that in the Alexandria area, which is in the Sarah Batman, there is a road that has collapsed. We are told that it had a sinkhole. It's one of those auxiliary roads that we have in the province, but those communities still are able to access the necessary amenities. And as soon as this rain subsides, we'll be able to move in and assess the extent of the damage and how soon it can be repaired.
Unati, the reality is that we'll never get over the snow as South Africans, right? As long as we are in this part of the world where it is warmer. So naturally, people want to travel into snowfall areas simply to see the snow. What would you want to say to those motorists or those South Africans today?
That's the problem we had yesterday. People were out on an adventure, wanted to do the snowman and all those things, who had us, scrambling to control them. We are urging those who want to experience that not to do it at the cost of their lives and, of course, putting additional strain on our rescue personnel who are on the ground, but to rather do it in those designated areas because we are not allowing people to enter into those road surfaces. But we must commend the people of the Eastern Cape and the people of South Africa for cooperating and understanding the restrictions that were in place. I mean, the reroutes were very long, and they meant that some of the road users had to dig deep into their pockets to buy fuel, but they still did it nonetheless. So we're thankful for that, and we wish to see that cooperation continuing going forward. But as for safety measures, we would urge them to keep a safe following distance, keep your headlamps on, and ensure that you are safe at all times. And if it's not essential for you to be on the road, rather don't.
Okay, Unati, let's leave it there. Unati Bingoshe, spokesperson for the Eastern Cape Department of Transport.
Kathy Mutlatlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAfmRadio.
It's 6:54. You're still tuned into the national briefing. Let's get into this story now. In parts of Johannesburg, restoring electricity now means entering territory that's controlled by armed criminals. City Power says illegal miners and cable thieves are shooting at technicians, robbing teams and damaging substations. All of this delaying the call-outs that residents are waiting for. City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangena joins me on the line this morning. Isaac, good morning. Very disturbing details contained in this report that is now before the Johannesburg City Council. How many attacks, robberies, or threats have been recorded officially by City Power, and where are the hotspot areas?
Good morning, Kathy, and good morning to the listeners. Yes, we've had instances where our teams were basically threatened many times because of the areas in which illegal mining is basically thriving. I'm talking here from what used to be mining belt from the Cleveland, George Gog to Crown Mines, Rivali, and then going towards your Kapiso area with Rudoport highly affected by these incidents. We basically are finding it difficult for our teams to basically respond to some of the outages that are happening, the repairs that need to basically happen in those substations that are located within those mining areas without dipping into some of our scarce resources like security to accompany some of these teams, but also the major threats that we are warning against this kind of activities in some of these disused or even currently working mines is basically the structural integrity where these substations and even infrastructure is basically sitting, where in some of these disused or even currently working mines is basically the structural integrity where these substations and even infrastructure is basically sitting, where most of them are basically on the verge of collapsing, especially if you look at Robertsville substation, which is near Vliehof along the main reef road. That's edge of collapsing, especially if you look at Robertsville substation, which is near Vliehof along the main reef road. That's the substation over time has seen a lot of underground activity, which has started to sink part of the substation, meaning that any moment, if that continues, may actually collapse. So that is the challenges that is happening. And imagine if that substation goes down, it might kill a lot of people, but also the environmental hazards that might come with the spillage of oil.
So, Isaac, help me understand this clearly.
Yeah.
The syndicates are stealing cable, right? So, and they are not affected by the power outages. So there's no incentive for them to allow City Power to actually come and fix whatever is broken. Or how does it work?
Yeah, so we've got two sets of this kind of syndicate. So you've got those that are actually stealing cables, and this is in the underground tunnels. We've got about 14 to 15 kilometers underground tunnels within the city of Johannesburg. In fact, in the inner city itself, from east to west. And in there, you'll find that there's a lot of criminals that are basically living underground, making it difficult for us to be able to attend to outages that are happening within the city of Johannesburg. And that's why in recent months and weeks, outages that are happening within the inner city take long to fix because of some of those threats. We are not able to work at night. We're not able to work without security or the police basically accompanying us. But you also have a situation where our teams in the past few months have been shot at by the very same people. So it's difficult to send the teams to deploy them to those underground tunnels without basically having the security sweeping out. So there is an incentive for them to basically not have the lights on because of some of the threats that come with electrocution should the electricity be live underground. There's a whole lot of flooding that is happening underground as well, but you also have other services like the storage spilling into those tunnels where it basically affects the operations of these zamazamas. We have lost millions worth of infrastructure in the underground, and that's why at some point point, our former CEO, Ms. Chifularo Mashaba, had to write to the National Police Commissioner to say, we really are crying for help. We need people who can assist us in terms of security, increase visibility in the inner city, because our job as City Power is to provide electricity. It's not really to provide a law enforcement or arrest or even prosecute some of this criminality that's happening around our network.
Sure. I mean, it's just, it's such a difficult state of affairs. But also, one gets the sense that City Power is being held to ransom and the police are being held to ransom here.
Yeah, you can call it that way, because that's basically what our teams feel on a daily basis when they leave home to go and respond to these outages. Some of them are actually literally held at ransom, basically kidnapped, hijacked by these people. Their cars got stolen, their laptops, their toolboxes. All of those kind of things are basically the conditions under which our teams often work. So we even call it a war zone in the city of Johannesburg. For our teams to go out, it really takes a whole lot of effort. And I think that's why we have really spent a lot of money, almost 250 million rands in the past financial year for security purposes. The money that we diverted from resources from repairing or maintenance or even material that is needed to keep the lights on, we end up diverting it to those security services. And I think that is really unsustainable, Keith.
Isaac Mangena, we're going to leave it there. I wonder what you make of that state of affairs. A warfare is how it's described. 7 o'clock, time for your latest news.
Theft, accident, and 1 million rand third-party cover for your older car. Outsurance Essential has it all. Get a quote. SMS CAR to 43185. That's CAR to 43185. Outsurance Essential is made for older cars. Claims are paid in cash within 5 working days, and you choose your own panel beater. SMS CAR to 43185. That's CAR to 43185.
In our top stories, Fadil Adams unlikely to testify as evidence leaders review documents, and public asked to take precautions amid severe weather conditions. Good morning. The National Coloured Congress Member of Parliament, Fadil Adams, is unlikely to testify before the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria today. Adams was subpoenaed to appear before the Commission this morning. However, Commission spokesperson Jeremy Michaels says the inquiry evidence leaders only received Adams' sworn affidavit and supporting documents last night. Michaels says the evidence leaders are expected to request a postponement to allow sufficient time to study the documents and consult with Adams before he takes the witness stand. Some witnesses have implicated Adams in the submission of a Section 27 affidavit that led to the arrest of 7 crime intelligence officials. Government has urged the public to remain vigilant and exercise extreme caution as severe weather conditions affect several parts of the country. The conditions include rainfall, heavy snowfall, extreme cold temperatures and strong winds. The weather has already resulted in a number of road closures and disruptions across several provinces. The conditions have also made travel hazardous, particularly over mountainous areas and along affected road networks. William Baloy is the Deputy Government spokesperson.
Members of the public are reminded that weather and road conditions can change rapidly. Roads that are currently open may subsequently be closed if conditions deteriorate, while previously closed roads may be reopened once they have been assessed and cleared by the relevant authorities. The public is urged to rely on official updates from the South African Weather Service, provincial traffic authorities, road agencies, disaster management centers and emergency services for the latest information.
Meanwhile, the current severe weather conditions have driven up electricity demand. This has prompted City Power in Johannesburg to appeal to residents to reduce consumption. The power utility is currently dealing with over 2,000 outage calls across its 8 service delivery centres. City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangena.
The word
weather conditions are also affecting some of our restoration work and even the time for those restorations. Certain cable faults require excavations and even the trenching to expose underground cables, and where the ground is waterlogged, our teams may not be able to safely proceed with the work until conditions improve. We are appealing to customers to help us protect the network by reducing the electricity consumption, particularly during the morning and evening peak periods, and by staggering the use of high consumption appliances in their homes.
The head of military intelligence for one of Libya's rival administrations has been killed in a car bomb outside his home in Benghazi. Fawzi al-Mansouri was a senior figure in General Khalifa Haftar's Libyan National Army, which controls the east of the country. The person responsible for the attack is not known. And finally, U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an order that calls for fewer childhood vaccines. It also recommends splitting the injection given to protect against measles, mumps and rubella, known as MMR. The BBC's Danny Eberhard has the details.
President Trump wants to reduce the number of immunisations. A child routine recommendation will change practice. It's states who decide what shots are needed to attend school, not the US federal government. There's been pushback from the medical community too. The president of the American Academy of Pediatrics called the order disheartening and dangerous. The Trump administration has long pushed a discredited link between MMR vaccines and autism, but multiple studies have found no connection.
Recapping the top story, the National Coloured Congress Member of Parliament Fadil Adams is unlikely to testify before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria today. The Commission spokesperson Jeremy Michael says the inquiry's evidence leaders only received Adams' sworn affidavit and supporting documents last night. For SAfm News, I am Anne Musa. The inquiry's evidence leaders only received Adams' sworn affidavit and supporting documents last night. For SAfm News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
You wouldn't pay penthouse prices for a garden cottage, so why overpay to insure your older car? Outsurance Essential Car Insurance covers older cars for much less. 68-year-old Andre pays only 450 Rand a month for his 2012 GWM Steed, gets claims paid in cash and chooses his own panel beater. Get Outsurance Essential Car Insurance today for unfinanced cars older than 5 years and valued at less than 100. Get Outsurance Essential Car Insurance today for unfinanced cars older than 5 years and valued at less than 150,000 Rand. SMS car to 43185. That's car to 43185. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
Very good morning to you. In your SAfm sports headlines, soccer. Sundowns begin their Betway Premiership campaign with a tricky away trip to TS Galaxy tonight. And we also bring you more soccer. Banyana refusing to give up on Brazil 2027. Details around 7:30.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Body busy around Pretoria North, mighty Mopoli Highway, queuing down to the N4, queuing again into SKM Pathale. Crash coming out of the north on Sefaka Mokato at the N1, causing delays leaving Montana, and no traffic lights straight down the middle. Johan Haynes at Adcock in Gazina area. Joburg's N1 North, the breakdown at Malabongwe, heavy from 14th Avenue. N12, really under pressure between Pitfontein and Craft Road all the way through this morning, just really busy. N2 coming out of Toti, queued up through to Prospect, and the N2 North looking pretty heavy, leaving the South Coast area this morning. Pietermaritzburg, Ashburton at this stage is fine. Cape Town, no traffic lights. Marine Drive at Boundary Road, the run-in from Milnerton to Parton Islands heavy, and no lights out by Lord Charles Hotel. That's the main road, leaving Somerset West, a junction with Broadway Boulevard. And Broadway Boulevard, to get up to that junction, backlogging from the Strand side. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAfm. Clarity, context, and conversation. This is where the day begins with Kathy Mutlatlana on the National Briefing.
It's 9 after 7 o'clock. You're tuned into the National Briefing. A very good morning to you and a special warm welcome if you've just tuned in. I'm Kathy Mutlatlana with you until 9 o'clock as we bring you clarity, context and conversation. Now, South Africa's migration debate is often driven by numbers that are difficult to verify. Stats South Africa's message this morning is slightly less comfortable. The estimate for those figures has changed, but the state still cannot count everyone entering or leaving outside formal systems. The Statistician General Risenga Maluleke will join us shortly to tell us what the data can establish and most importantly, where are the biggest gaps. And if you're listening to us under three blankets this morning, we're certainly not judging. We completely understand snow, ice and heavy rain. It's disrupting several provinces and authorities are warning the curious to resist the temptation to go snow chasing. The Kokta Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa will tell us which areas and communities are the most vulnerable and also talk to us about the nationwide deployments. Also coming up in the hour in your reality check, we'll be asking the question, when women are qualified and available, why do men still get chosen? When women are qualified and available, why do men still get chosen? And of course, our guest for this week, our contributor, is Advocate Thandi Olaine, the chairperson of Impala Platinum and president of the International Women's Forum South Africa. Rob is standing by with your traffic. Zai has your sport. Ndauleng has your market update. And as always, I'd love for you to be part of the conversation. The studio line 086 000 2032. That's the number to dial. On the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107.
Smart business decisions save money. Switch to OUTsurance Smart Business Decisions Save Money. Switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's JC from Blonde Hair Studio.
I was with my previous insurer for many years before switching over to OUTsurance Business Insurance. I'm really happy with the premium I'm paying now, and switching was definitely one of the best decisions for my business.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
SABC Plus has reached an exciting milestone, surpassing 3 million registered users and cementing its position as one of South Africa's fastest growing streaming platforms, bringing together live TV, radio, sport, news, video on demand and catch-up content. SABC Plus continues to connect millions of South Africans with the content they love anytime, anywhere. This achievement reflects the platform's growing popularity and the SABC's ongoing commitment to delivering world-class digital experiences. Download the SABC Plus app today on iOS or Google Play Store, or visit www.sabcplus.com to join the millions already streaming.
The National Briefing on SAFM with Kathy Mutlatlana.
It's 12 after 7 o'clock. Let's get into our big story then. South Africa, of course, has had many debates around migration and the numbers. Now, Stats SA has revised the net migration estimates down. It's after deportations and voluntary repatriations in May and June. It can, however, not give a definitive number. This is for the migrants that have been removed, especially those that have left the country irregularly. Risenga Maluleke is Stats SA's Statistician General and joins me now. Mr. Maluleke, good morning to you. Thanks for your time this morning. Firstly, I just want us to look at this downward revision. How has Stats South Africa been approaching the migration numbers just generally? Because you've always said that what is on record may not be a full account for what is actually happening in the country.
Kathy, let us first understand the role of official statistics. The role of official statistics is to assist in long-term planning. The second issue in relation to collecting data or statistics is in that we report what members of the public or everyone within the borders of South Africa says. So without having to say which country they come from, because when you go to them or you sample them, you don't know until you have spoken to them. So if I find someone smoking a cigarette and I ask them, do you smoke or not? And they say, I do not smoke. We take what they say, not what we think. So that is very important in the reporting of official statistics. And indeed, when it comes to issues, particularly issues of irregular migration, it is very difficult, not only for South Africa, but for the world over to pick up. And indeed, because people enter and leave countries without being documented. No country the world over can claim to say we know. No authority, including authorities in South Africa, can say we know undocumented or irregular migrants because they come and leave as they wish.
The report has linked the adjustment to deportations and voluntary repatriations. However, you don't give a definitive number for those departures. So how robust is this revised estimate?
What is happening here is that, remember, even those people who have entered the country illegally, when there was a movement in the month of May, particularly in the last 2 weeks towards the end of June, including those who were undocumented, they went to their embassies and requested to be repatriated back to their home countries. And as such, when you look at those numbers, for example, we have seen a lot more people coming out of Malawi, documented or undocumented, who have benefited a lot through these repatriations that were being made. And even in our numbers, that is what it does show, that the people from Malawi left in larger numbers than we have seen from other nations.
So what I'm trying to understand, Statistician General, is where does that leave us? So if we look at for the numbers now, right, and we sit perhaps with the official figures that Stats SA is going with, and you can run us through some of them. What is the number of migrants that we have in the country? Given the net revisions, where do you put the figures now? And what does that then potentially tell us about how we need to be planning as a country?
Definitely, Kathy, I will come to the exact numbers. Let us look at the recently published population media estimates, which we published on the 1st of July, that reflect where South Africa was standing on the 30th of June. So when you talk migration, you don't talk about those who come in and those who go out. You talk about the difference between the two. that is called net migration. So net migration was sitting at 220,000 as of end of June. And when we say 220,000, it means you had more people compared to the previous year of 2025 that had entered South Africa than those who have left South Africa. And when we say those who had entered South Africa, we are not talking about undocumented or irregular migrants. We are also talking about those who have entered South Africa legally so and regularly so. And as such, that then leaves from the population estimate that we were sitting at 2025, where our population numbers are driven more by the number of births. So let me give you an example. Between 2025 and 2026 June, there were about 1 million births. That is about 1.07 million births. And there were 530,000 deaths. And when we want to move, we subtract the number of deaths that occurred in the country from the births, because the births are higher, 1 million subtracted from 530,000 deaths. And then we add the net migration, that is the difference between those who entered and those who left, showing that those who left were in lesser numbers, 220,000. And we come to a population media estimate as of end of June 2026, sitting at 63.52 million.
So that means that on a formal and a legal basis, despite what might have been happening in the country, right, when it comes to the migration debate and the issues that we've been confronting, we still have more people wanting to come to South Africa. It has not deterred travel into South Africa.
Let us remember here the issue of citizens raising that they want government to deal tightly with matters of illegal or irregular migration didn't start last year in June. It has been raised all along. Government has also been raising it and been attending to it all along. It just has taken an active measure towards the end of June when citizens were marching in the street and authorities were also taking further steps. And as such, we have been seeing a lot more of that happening May and June this year. So what I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to you about May and June. I'm talking from 1st of July last year to end of June. And we will remember that people were continuing to come into South Africa before there was such active or heightened activities as in May and June.
Yeah, we'll certainly continue to track those numbers over the longer term. The Statistician General, Risenga Maluleke. But again, just remember that those figures account for the formal movement, not what is happening informally. And that's perhaps one of the biggest gaps that we still sit with as a country.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
You wouldn't pay unlimited data prices for a few gigs, so why overpay to insure your older car? Outsurance Essential Car Insurance covers older cars for much less. 40-year-old Nomtandazo pays only 516 Rand a month for her 2013 Hyundai i20 and gets covered for full retail value if her car is stolen or hijacked. Get Outsurance Essential Car Insurance today for unfinanced cars older than 5 years and valued at less than 150,000 Rand. SMS car to 43185. That's car to 43185. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
Stay on top of all meaningful, top trending stories right here on SAFM. Leading the conversation.
Well, persistent cold conditions, including snow and ice, are affecting roads and communities in the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal and Free State. Heavy rain also forecast for Gauteng, Limpopo and Mpumalanga. Government is now urging people to stay off dangerous routes and to stop chasing the snow. The Minister for Kokta, Velinkosini Tlhabisa, joins me now. That is, of course, a cooperative governance and traditional affairs. Good morning, Minister. Thanks for your time. So if we're looking at it from a district point of view, where are the greatest risks this morning?
Good morning, Kathy, and the listeners of the radio station. As you rightly pointed out, KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, and Free State are the most affected areas, but mostly KwaZulu-Natal and Eastern Cape and part of Western Cape. The snow was very bad yesterday, and our teams are on the ground even today to monitor closely so that we keep on updating our communities in terms of ensuring their safety. And then the weather in terms of rain is accumulating in the other provinces, including Gauteng and Mpumalanga.
One of the challenges that we have, Minister, is that our emergency response plans. One of the challenges that we have, Minister, is that our emergency response plans are often triggered after the fact, right? That it's almost as if we wait for the disaster to happen and then come in with a response. Let's talk about who is coordinating responses across municipalities. How are you ensuring that you're going to be staying on top of things so that we don't get to a point where we're counting loss of lives, we're counting people stranded simply because there weren't sufficient plans in place?
Kathy, I must admit that we are doing Kathy, I must admit that we are doing far better than the previous times. Even as we speak, yesterday, a number better than the previous times. Even as we speak, yesterday, a number of roads were closed at a certain time towards the afternoon and the evening, but most of those roads have been opened this morning. The reason why we closed those roads, working together with the Department of Transport, is being proactive, not to respond once disaster has happened, where it became clear, not to respond once disaster has happened, where it became clear that the snow is accumulating too much to be managed. The resort was to close the road to avoid people being trapped on the road as it happened previous time. Our teams are on the ground and we planned ahead of the snow because the information that we received from the South African Weather Services helped us to activate all provincial joints and activated our teams at municipal level in areas that were indicated. It is only Free State where we experienced the destruction of infrastructure because of a strong wind, which there will be no way to plan for it. but the snow we experienced, the destruction of infrastructure because of a strong wind, which there will be no way to plan for it. But the snow, we are on top of our plans, and we want to encourage people to cooperate. When they are advised that this road is closed, they must not want to insist on their trips. The trips that can be delayed, we advise so. And people who are excited of wanting to go and see and experience the snow, they are going to complicate the problem when it will have to be time to give responses to rescue our people. Rather, people enjoy from watching the snow because it is part of disaster. At the end of the day, we shouldn't be. Yeah.
It certainly is encouraging, Minister, to see this proactive approach, especially, that's related to weather disaster management. What has changed? What has triggered it?
Human beings have a capacity of learning from the past. Previously we were excited that we were going to be seeing snow. That excitement is gone, and we are vigilant that when we see that the road must be closed, we will not hesitate as we are working together with all key departments to ensure that safety is put first. But briefly, as human beings, really, we should be learning from the past and not to be trapped the previous way, because it will not be reflecting good of us as government if we do not learn from the previous mistakes.
Velunkosini Hlabisa, the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. So several disaster management resources being activated, right, across provinces, as you have heard. And one then, if we can do this, every time, we have these warnings of severe weather, how many more lives do you think we're going to be able to save? Certainly very encouraging to see. Let's take you to the news desk for the latest headlines.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, government says local disaster centres in each province are on high alert following severe weather conditions across parts of the country. Residents of the Free State, Northern Cape, Gauteng and Mpumalanga can anticipate extremely cold, wet and windy conditions, while snowfall is expected in parts of the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. The National Coloured Congress Member of Parliament, Fadil Adams, is unlikely to testify before the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria today. The Commission spokesperson, Jeremy Michael, says the inquiry's evidence leaders only received Adams' sworn affidavit and supporting documents last night. And there are heightened safety concerns in Langa on the Cape Flats, following a shooting incident in which 4 young men and a woman were killed at the weekend. 11 people were killed in 3 separate shooting incidents on the Cape Flats at the weekend. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. We started to get at Ekurhuleni, east of Joburg, with yet another crash. This is the new one, the M12 westbound near Snake Road. So coming through from Pitfontein into Benoni, it's heavy, and then the traffic stays all the way through, really to about sort of Rondebolt Road in the Boksburg area. So lots of traffic M12 this morning. N17 just down the road a bit. Roadworks at Boksburg and at Wadeville, both of those on the Joburg Carriageway. The N1 14th Avenue round to Ravoni is heavy. The N1 coming south, Old Joburg Road, right down to really Buccleuch, an extended queue coming through Midrand this morning. The N1 from Montana down through Storenfall towards the N4, that's being held up. Looks like roadwork still in place this morning. And a crash coming out of Montana on Sefaka-Makato at the N1, causing some delays out that side as well. Durban, the M13 from Hillcrest onto Fields Hill, very busy. The usual breakdown on the N2 running north before Gateway, so heavy getting up from Queen Nundy Drive territory this morning. And the N2 at Prospecton was busier earlier. It is busy, but it's easing and starting to flow a lot better better. Cape Town, heavy on the N1 into town. Crash at Okavango Road, so from Justenburg, Kraaifontein, very heavy along that Route 1 this morning. Also, Malabongwe Drive, worse than normal, going off Sandown Road, Rivergate around towards Dunoon area. Very slow-moving traffic there. And no lights on the Broadway Boulevard, Lord Charles Junction. That's Somerset West, so that R44 Broadway Boulevard, very heavy leading strand across the N2 and up to that main road junction. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne. Before Broadway Boulevard, very heavy leading strand across the N2 and up to that main road junction. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Zai Khan, we're expecting some midweek blockbuster action as the Betway Premiership returns.
Midweek football. Kathy, we'll take it. We'll take it any day of the week, actually. So, yeah, the working week has officially begun with the matches tonight, and you can look forward to the likes of the reigning African champions, Mamelodi Sundowns, actually. So, yeah, the working week has officially begun with the matches tonight, and you can look forward to the likes of the reigning African champions, Mamelodi Sundowns, finally launching their league campaign away to TS Galaxy at Mbombela Stadium. Kickoff at 7:30. Elsewhere tonight, Polokwane City host Stellenbosch FC. Chipper United welcome Richards Bay, while Marumo Gallants will take on the newly promoted Kruger United. The action will continue tomorrow night when Orlando Pirates will travel to AmaZulu. Kaizer Chiefs looking to bounce back from their MTN8 exit against Sekhukhune United. Durban City will face Golden Arrows in a KwaZulu-Natal derby, and Milford will host Siwelele. On to rugby, the Sharks have been dealt another injury setback ahead of tonight's rugby greatest rivalry clash against the touring All Blacks in Durban. The Springbok flank, Vincent Chituka, has been ruled out with a concussion, joining Bongi Mbonambi, Makazole Mapimpi and the brothers Jordan and Jaden Hendrickse on the sidelines. Coach JP Peterson admits his side is still in pre-season and says the Sharks may only be operating and that's 70 to 80%, but insists they'll give everything again, and says the Sharks may only be operating and that's 70 to 80%, but insists they'll give everything against a powerful All Blacks outfit at Kings Park. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. tonight. On to cricket, and the South African emerging women's side enjoying an impressive tour, backing up a one-day series victory with an unassailable lead in the T20 series against Bangladesh. Now, while the results have been encouraging, the program is also focused on developing the next generation of Proteas. Here's Proteas Faye Tunnicliffe saying exposing young players to international cricket is crucial.
So this type of exposure is really important because at the end of the day, these are the players.
Proteas. Here's Proteas Faye Tunnicliffe saying exposing young players to international cricket is crucial.
So this type of exposure is really important because at the end of the day, these are the players who will be playing against each other in a couple of years' time in the next World Cup or the next couple of World Cups. So that exposure early on is really important, and also just to play your game at a slightly higher level, I think is important to see if it works or if it doesn't.
And finally, tennis. The world number one, Jannik Sinner, has withdrawn from this week's Cincinnati Open because of a knee injury, but remains confident he'll be fit for the US Open later this month. The 24-year-old Italian has not played since lifting his fifth Grand Slam title at Wimbledon, where he defeated Alexander Zverev in the final. Sinner says his right knee has been bothering him and he's simply not ready to compete yet. The Cincinnati Open gets underway. That's tomorrow, with Novak Djokovic and Zverev amongst the headline act, while defending champions Carlos Alcaraz also withdraw because of his wrist injury. The US Open runs from the 30th of August to the 13th of September. All right, the rally continues. At the top of the hour, we'll bring you more sport on the National Briefing.
The Market Brief with Ndauleng Lechela on SAFM.
Ndauleng, good morning again to you. So we're seeing Spurs earnings. They've taken a knock. It's after the latest legal ruling.
That's right, Kathy. Now, Spur expects a sharp drop in earnings after a long-running dispute with supplier GPS Food Group, which led to a 129.5 million rand provision. Now, annual headline earnings per share are forecast to fall by up to 43%, but excluding the provision, adjusted earnings are expected to rise by as much as 13%. Pointing to stronger underlying performance. Now, the owner of Panarottis says its cash reserves can absorb the claim with liquidity and dividend plans unchanged. The group will appeal the ruling with a hearing expected next year in February, and will get more insight on the impact of the claim when the restaurant group releases its full-year results next week. In other company news, Boxer's rapid expansion is coming under scrutiny, with a major retail union accusing the JSE-listed retailer of unfair treatment of workers. SACAWU is demanding safe transport for employees working late and early shifts, payment for all hours worked, and listed retailer of unfair treatment of workers. SACAWU is demanding safe transport for employees working late and early shifts, payment for all hours worked, and better benefits for part-time staff. Now, the dispute comes as Boxer continues to expand aggressively, opening 19 stores in the first 20 weeks of the second half of its 2026 financial year. The retailer's turnover rose 7.2% in the period, while its market value has climbed above 33 billion rands since its JSE listing. SACAWU says workers are being left behind by the retailer's growth and is calling for negotiations. Checking in on market action, stocks are looking mixed this morning, with US futures pointing to a slightly firmer open after Wall Street closed lower overnight, while Asian stocks trade cautiously as investors weigh higher oil prices and the impact it would have on the inflation outlook. Brent is hovering around $88 a barrel as uncertainty over the US-Iran conflict keeps risk appetite in check. Coming back home, the JSE set for a catch-up session after the long weekend, with local investors also eyeing unemployment figures due today for clues on the health of the labor market. Then over in currencies, the rand remains firm. It's at 16.20 to the dollar, 21.88 to the pound, and 18.70 against the euro. That's your market update this hour. I'll hand over to Kathy now, who's standing by with your business tip of the day.
Well, let's get into our F&B business tip for today. No entrepreneur succeeds entirely on their own. Behind many successful businesses is a support network of mentors, partners, customers, and organizations that help create opportunities for growth. For women entrepreneurs in particular, access to business networks, development opportunities, and market connections can often make a meaningful difference in helping businesses move beyond survival and into long-term growth. Enterprise and supplier development programs are designed to support this journey by helping businesses strengthen their capabilities, improve competitiveness, and access opportunities that may otherwise be difficult to reach. So this week, take a moment to consider whether your business is making full use of the resources, partnerships, and growth opportunities available within your industry or community. On Wednesday on the F&B Business Interview, we'll discuss how women-owned businesses can unlock greater growth through the right support, networks, and opportunities.
Running a courier business is so hard these days. The petrol price, the breakdown costs, and so much more. Luckily, I'm with My Way Business Insurance. I get to save up to 20% on my insurance premiums for my vehicles and goods in transit. And just like that, I have more money for all my costs.
Switch to My Way Business Insurance and save up to 20% on your vehicles and goods in transit. Real businesses, real savings. Call us on 0860 646464 today for a quote. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. Standard rates and T's and C's apply.
We've all had the anxiety of wondering if our insurer will pay out our claim, but with Outsurance, you've got that peace of mind. The Ombudsman, an independent body that rules on complaints, confirmed in their 2025 annual report that Outsurance had the lowest overturned ratio of complaints received. So switch to Outsurance, the insurer that consistently delivers on what you need insurance to do. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za today. Licensed insurer and FSP, T's, C's and information online.
Reality check on the National Briefing.
It's 7:41. Let's get into our reality check for this week. And today, of course, we've got Advocate Thandi Olaine, Chairperson, Impala Platinum and President of the International Women's Forum South Africa. And she's been talking to us about women in leadership. That's her theme for the week. Yesterday, she started off by us, women in leadership. That's her theme for the week. Yesterday, she started off by asking us to really consider whether or not men and women equally want to be in positions of leadership. And if they do, what are they doing to really consider whether or not men and women equally want to be in positions of leadership? And if they do, what are they doing currently to capacitate, to empower, to prepare themselves for those positions? So, Advocate Thandi, today you want to take it a step further. You're asking the question, who enters the leadership pool and who is chosen? If capable men and women are in the pool, why are men still more likely to be appointed or elected?
Good morning, Kathy, and good morning to the listeners. Thank you so much for framing this question so well, and also reminding us and the listeners about our conversation yesterday. Today, I want to look at, we said, why more are more likely to be appointed or elected into positions of leadership. I want to frame this within our history, the traditions that have entrenched the predominant roles that men and women occupy. And traditionally, leadership has been and remains predominantly hereditary and historically follows patriarchal lines. And so in that sense, you will note, and I would like the listeners to contextualize this, if you live in the village or even if you've moved into the urban areas, you find that a lot of issues are still steeped in tradition. If you take the Xhosa culture, for instance, or even the Zulu culture, men are sitting on one side and women on the other. And those stereotypes, I find that they translate themselves into positions of leadership because decisions are made in the crowd. Decisions are made in certain areas where you find that women are supposed to be busy cooking somewhere and men sitting and contemplating these issues. Even if you read, you take, for instance, the book that Advocate Senior Counsel Tembeka Ngugaitobi, which is The Land is Ours. I urge people to read that book because it not only deals, it doesn't actually deal specifically about the land. It deals about the history of how black lawyers challenge the status quo at the time. And in the whole book, you'll find that most of the lawyers who rose up from the last century were men. So there's always a catch-up for women. And as I take it in the context of the traditional roles, even the post our constitutional democracy, we find that in the legislative framework, women's representation on traditional councils was important, are still limited in terms of quotas to 30%. And so you ask yourself, why is it limited to 30%? Why shouldn't we challenge that and translate it into positions of influence and authority and expand it? And this should not only be looked at by women. I want to emphasize this point. Both men and women should look at this issue. And secondly, in politics, business, the judiciary, and other sectors, selection processes may appear neutral while still favoring established networks and familiar, often male leadership profiles. So I don't want us to continue to lamenting the fact that women are not getting to leadership positions. We must challenge vocally, openly, and engage in a way that is going to constructively change the environment. I want to, again, to give another example here, and this example is in the corporate sector. I've been involved in the motor industry, and I'm on the board of Toyota South Africa. When I joined the board quite a number of years ago, we hardly had any women on the factory, on the shop floor where the cars are being manufactured. And I ask myself, how do you expect then women to lead in the motor industry if they don't start from the bottom and move up and understand the industry and the sector in a broad sense? Now, when I look at it in 2026, we are still lamenting the fact that there are no women in the leadership position, whereas there are leaders in the technical positions. We now have, when I say leadership, I'm now dealing with the executive committee. But when I look at the factory, we have a number of women general managers. We have a number of women who are technically leading teams. So the next step is to say, now we're looking at the executive committee, can we have more women? And what is the barrier in relation to that? For me, that is a reality. That is an expectation. That is a work in progress that I'm trying to make sure in the environment that I'm in, that we can see the change from what I would call from, if I look at the last 20 years, if we look at the statistics from 2006 and now we are in 2026, I acknowledge that there has been a lot of improvements, but there is not enough at the top. Why does it take 20 years? Can it take another 20 years to have a female CEO in the motor industry, for instance?
Advocate Thandi, you know, everything that you've described, right, speaks to gender norms and the way in which society is normalized to, or is socialized rather, to accept certain things. How difficult is it to bring people into awareness of the biases that they carry? Because, you know, I've got an interesting question from one of our listeners here who says, Kathy, can Advocate Thandi also tell us why is it that women don't elect women? And I would, say that probably for the same reasons that men don't elect women.
Definitely, it's the same reasons that men don't elect women. But let's take that in the political environment. We have had a woman, you may love her or hate her, but she is a strong leader, Helen Zille. Why is it that the men elected Helen Zille and women elected her to the position that she held? And even if I go a few years back and look at Dr. Nkosazana Zuma, she became a very powerful leader. I believe that she was one of the best health ministers in the country. She moved on to lead the AU. She has risen up to the top echelons of the leadership in Africa. And why is it that she was elected? why is it that she ran those structures I've mentioned successfully? And my view is that we have to make people comfortable in the spaces that they are in. I could ask the same, why am I chairing a JSE listed company? I'm not the only one. Why are women like Nkuni chairing top banks in the country? Why are people like, names now slip my mind. But so that is a good question, Kathy, to ask, in that it starts us examining the reason why are some rising up and why are not having sufficient time. People may say we are impatient. I don't believe so. I believe that since 1994, we should be having more women who are in leadership, visibly in leadership positions. So it is quite critical that we individually, that's where I started, when I say, well, women must, as men do, put their hands up, say, I'm ready for leadership. Other women must support, men must support those women. And in that instance, we start finding it as normal for women to be in leadership positions.
Advocate,
I'm listening.
Yeah, Advocate Thandi Olane, we're going to leave it there for this morning. Of course, she joins us again tomorrow with more on the reality check. So who enters the leadership pool and who is chosen? And I think beyond it, she's saying that we have to acknowledge that there are systems that determine visibility, that determine selection, and are we able to interrogate what those systems are so that it can just move beyond being aspirational, right? It's not just about this is what I want to be, but for whatever reason, I cannot get there. So if you are to think about the ways in which we can challenge these norms, why is it? Why is it that men are more likely to be chosen than women when both are equally capable? That's the scenario. They're both equally capable, but the man more likely to be chosen than the woman. Why? Let's have that conversation.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Really busy around Pretoria this morning. N1 coming south just slow as you join from Montana. In fact, from sort of the N4 Bakwena Highway down through some road works all the way down to around the N4 Emelefeni Highway split. So just that N1 south unusually slow today. There's another breakdown further south just around Atterbury Road. And then northbound a crash before you get to Rigel. So coming up from Centurion, fairly slow going there. Joburg's N1 from 14th Avenue to Rivonia is slow. N12, another crash. This one is at Snake Road. Again, it's Joburg bound. So coming through Pittfontein, out of Daveyton, busy, and then it just stays slow all the way through to Rondebolt Road. Two sets of roadworks on the N17, one at Boksburg, one at Wadeville, and both of those on the Joburg bound carriageway, causing some delays. Durban M13, heading from Hillcrest down Fields Hill into Pinetown, very slow. The M4's got a lot of traffic between Mhlanga and Blue Lagoon. There's a breakdown before Gateway, so queuing up, going up from Queen Nandi Drive through Komashu this morning, and a crash on the N3 leaving Durban at Spaghetti Junction with a pushback through towards the Sherwood exit. Cape Town side, a collision, N1 into town by Okavango Road. That's pushing traffic all the way back into Kraaifontein area. So Kraaifontein, coming in from Justenburg, Kraaifontein into Brackenfell, very slow along Route 1 this morning. Marine Drive, solid from Sunningdale all the way down through to the Sunset Beach area. And Malabongwe Drive, heading out of that region, slow go from Sandown Road through Rivergate down towards the N7 at Dunoon. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
Unleash your inner chef with Spar. Get up to 80% off on NutriFresh kitchen essentials when you buy products like Cadbury 5-Star, Lunch Bar, PS, Astros or Crunchy 40 to 48.5 grams. Any two for 24. Save 8 Rand. Or 100 gram Danone Nutri-Day yogurt. 6-pack. Any two for 30. Save 10 Rand. Price is valid from 11 till 23 August. While stocks last. Only at Spar. T's and C's apply.
Yo, yo, listen, Treasure J, yo, one beat, one drum, hear the sound. Let the rhythm move around. Beats is one, rhythm matters. Ish, sticker on, bring your beats. Friday, 4 September, hit the streets. Join the cause, it's casual day. .co.za. Beats is one.
This is a SABC supported initiative.
Deciding to skip the gym may cost you that smoothie reward, but deciding to stay with your current car insurance could be costing you thousands of rands in savings a year. With OutSurance, a 48-year-old Sylvia saves an incredible 802 Rand a month on her 2019 BMW X1. Switch to OutSurance today. You could be one quote away from having more money in your pocket every month. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
Call SAFM now on 086 000 2032.
Okay, so with that interview of City Power and underground tunnels, I mean, we are always caught wanting by criminals. It's like we are treating criminals with kid gloves. We know there's a problem where the criminals are underground. Why are we not making or taking any decisive action to reel them out? I will never get it. We are always caught wanting in many situations. Anonymous.
Good morning, Kathy. I honestly don't understand why morning after morning you guys at SAFM still sugarcoat what is happening in this country. We are in a mafia state. Just listen to this absurdity, the fact that the City Power has to go in with armed security guards to just go and fix something simple, to go and restore the services that the communities require, that there are armed criminals shooting at City Power. I mean, honestly, if that's not the definition of a mafia state, then I don't know. We see what's been going on with Matlanga and everything else. South Africa is not turning into a mafia state. We are a mafia state, unfortunately.
Morning. Why not men? Why not appoint men? What is wrong with appointing men? Why should men be denied opportunities? What is wrong with appointing men? That's the question. Why not men also? Are they not also heads of families? Don't they have children also and wives that they look after? There are many decent men out there. Why not appoint men? Why deny men opportunities as well?
All right, those are just some of the WhatsApp voice notes that you've sent through. Yeah, I don't know if it's so much about denying men opportunities as it is about equaling the playing field, right? And making sure that there are opportunities that are given to women, because the general response, the framework is such that men are often the ones that are primed for these opportunities. Shata, you're calling from Cape Town. Good morning. You want to respond to Willie. We took Willie in the first hour of the show. Go ahead.
Correct. Actually, I want to reiterate. Good morning, Kathy. How are you?
Go for it, Shata.
Kathy, you know what Willie was saying? I think we are the only country that is so hell-bent on protecting and defending the illegal immigrants. I mean, as the people on the ground, we experience how it feels like having these people. Children are being killed from consuming sweets in townships. But people living in suburbs, in comfortable spaces where there's control, mostly are the ones who are actually defending the illegal immigrants, the criminals. When somebody's illegal in the country, the criminal. So we are defending the criminals. How do we find it so right to be comfortable with defending the criminals in our country?
Shata, I'm not aware of the defending of criminals that you're talking about. And if I go back to what Willie was talking about, he was talking about gangsterism and just the extent to which the level of law and order in the country has gotten out of control. So I'm not sure which angle really you're coming at this from.
What I'm coming from, gangsterism, what is happening in mines, all right? Many people that are there, perpetrators, many of the perpetrators are foreign illegal immigrants. So I'm taking that point, and I'm saying every time when I listen to the radio, many times when I listen to the radio, we hear about how South Africans are not right by treating illegal immigrants incorrectly. So what I'm saying is, why are we so hell-bent on protecting the people that are breaking the law of our country?
All right, Shatta, we're going to have to leave it there. It's time for me to take the latest news update.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
In our top stories, disaster centres activated as adverse weather sweeps across the country, and Fadil Adams unlikely to testify as evidence leaders review documents. Good morning. Government says local disaster centres in each province are on high alert following severe weather conditions across parts of the country. Residents of the Free State, Northern Cape, Gauteng and Mpumalanga can anticipate extremely cold, wet and windy conditions, while snowfall is expected in parts of the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. The centres are monitoring high-risk zones as adverse weather conditions trigger widespread travel disruptions across multiple provinces. Deputy Government spokesperson William Baloy.
Each province has what we call a provincial and local disaster centers. So now these centers, they work together as part of the entire disaster management of the country, and also the South African Weather Service is part of them. So what they do, they are able to respond immediately to localized needs. On the R617, snowfall has been confirmed, especially in Kokstad, Underbeck, Matatiele and Clifton.
In the Free State, the South African Red Cross Society is assessing the damage caused by strong winds in the farming town of Koppies. It damaged several homes with roofs blown off houses near the Renoster River. The Red Cross says it's offering humanitarian assistance to affected households. Provincial Manager Claudia Mini.
In KwaZulu-Natal, we have Koppies that is currently affected. We also have Harib district, whereby Edinburgh and Forest Smith are affected. We also have Thabo Mofokeng, whereby Slabek Farm is affected. Our volunteers are on the ground working closely with the Provincial Disaster Management Center, including municipalities that are affected. So we are trying hard to finalize assessment with the current persisting heavy winds, including rainfall.
The National Coloured Congress Member of Parliament, Fadil Adams, is unlikely to testify before the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria today. Adams was subpoenaed to appear before the Commission this morning. However, Commission spokesperson Jeremy Michael says the inquiry's evidence leaders only received Adams' sworn affidavit and supporting documents last night. Michael says the evidence leaders are expected to request a postponement to allow sufficient time to study the documents and consult with Adams before he takes the witness stand. Some witnesses have implicated Adams in the submission of a Section 27 affidavit that led to the arrest of 7 crime intelligence officials. Heightened safety concerns remain in Langa on the Cape Flats following a weekend shooting that claimed the lives of 4 young men and a woman. 11 people were killed in 3 separate shooting incidents on the Cape Flats at the weekend. Violent crime is continuing unabated on the Cape Flats despite the deployment of members of the SANDF to the area to assist police. Community leader and councillor Luazi Bakade.
So the mood in the community is quite sad. Everyone is shocked because it is also the first time that we are experiencing a massive shooting of this nature in this community of Langa. We always consider Langa as one of the better safe communities in Cape Town, where where people always feel welcome, where everyone always feels part of this community. But this incident has shocked us.
And finally, Turkey's parliament has voted to finalize a peace process with the Kurdish militant group, the PKK. It will see former fighters shielded from prosecution. The landmark legislation could see hundreds of Kurdish politicians and militants freed from jail if the group disarms. The BBC's Ola Gadden reports.
This is not the first peace process between the Turkish state and Kurdish militants. Past attempts have failed, but in a message sent from his prison cell, Mr. Erdogan strongly backed the new law. The Turkish leader has done the same. The government says all this is part of a drive to create a Turkey free of terror. Kurdish politicians say their long-held demands for broader democratic and legal reforms still have to be addressed.
Recapping the top story, government says local disaster centres in each province are on high alert following severe weather conditions across parts of the country. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance is in the business of saving you money on your car insurance premium. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754.
Deciding to binge that new series may cost you your beauty sleep, but deciding to stay with your current car insurance could be costing you thousands of rands in savings a year. With Outsurance, 58-year-old Loretta saves a whopping 479 Rand a month on her 2017 BMW 320. Switch to Outsurance. You could be one quote away from having more money in your pocket every month. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer NFSP. T's, C's and information online.
It's a very good morning to you. In your SFM sports headlines, rugby, the Sharks, they suffer another injury blow ahead of tonight's clash against the touring All Blacks. And the Betway Premiership returns with a blockbuster midweek program as Mamelodi Sundowns begin their league campaign tonight. We'll have details around 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour. SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. We started to get in Pretoria with a crash on the M1 North at Rigel. Good morning. We started to get in Pretoria with a crash on the M1 North at Rigel. Quite slow getting up from Buerta Avenue up into that scene. The N1 South is under pressure from Montana, making your way down towards the N4 Emalafani split. Just moving through those roadworks, or that roadwork zone is slow today. Lights out Johan Haynes at Gazina, so extra pressure if you're coming down that route from Vanderburg. The N12 out of Benoni through to Boksburg stays busy. Just queues from sort of Snake Road territory through to about Rondebolt Road. Two sets of roadworks on the N17, one at Boksburg, one at Wadeville, both Joburg bound, causing some disruption. And the N1 between Bayers Nordia and Rivonia Road stays slow. Also a breakdown going into Buccleuch this morning, so bottom end of the N1 stays busy right through until that Buccleuch interchange area. Over in Durban, the M13 still under pressure from Hillcrest into Kloof and down Fields Hill. If you're on your way to Pinetown, very slow. Breakdown into North before Umhlanga. That's heavy from Queen Nandi Drive territory. A lot of traffic on the M4 as well between Umhlanga and Blue Lagoon, both directions. Cape Town today, a crash on Bosmansdam Road coming through Edgemead just before the N7. Collision on the N1 inbound at Okavango Road, Brackenfell. That's heavy from Justenburg side. 300 jamming through Kales River towards Van Riebeek Road exit, and just really busy around Claremont and Newlands back to school day this Tuesday for a lot of those schools, and just really busy. Campground Road, Palmyra, Main Road, Belmont, all jam-packed. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The National Briefing on SAFM. Clarity, context, and conversation. This is where the day begins with Kathy Mutlatlana on the National Briefing.
It's 10 after 8 o'clock. You're tuned in to the national briefing. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the show. I'm Kathy Mutlahlana with you until 9 o'clock this morning as we bring you clarity, context, and conversation. Coming up in this hour, we'll get into Municipal Watch. And today, we're heading to Maluti Apofung. 5 mayors in 4 years, workers unpaid their July salaries, hospitals battling water shortages, and of course the National Treasury also withholding funds for this municipality. We'll get into some of the key questions around what it's going to take to get Maluti Apofung functional again. And then later on in the hour, as we wrap things up, Built in Mzansi will be taking a look at the 2 million returned or defective garments that have been kept in circulation and have helped thousands of people earn an income. We'll speak to the business that has created a platform for this to be possible. And then, as always, before we get to all of that, we'll be taking your calls. The conversation belongs to you. 086 000 2032 is the number to dial. 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. That's where you can send your WhatsApp voice notes and text messages. 0614 104 107.
Every generation has a story. Every generation has questions. Every generation has a voice. For 90 years, SAfm has been part of the conversation. This August, we listen back to the voices that brought us here. We celebrate the people who shaped our journey, and we listen for the voices that will shape what comes next, including the launch of a new annual SAfm property. This Women's Month, we are in search of an SAfm woman. 4 extraordinary women. 4 are in search of an SAfm woman. 4 extraordinary women. 4 extraordinary journeys. One question. What does it mean to be an SAfm woman? SAfm 90 years. Women, a new voice. 90 years of conversation. A nation story, our shared future. From 1 August, SAfm. Municipal Watch, bringing your local issues on the national agenda. SAfm, leading the conversations that move us.
It's 13 after 8 o'clock. You're listening to the national briefing. So on Municipal Watch today in Maluti Apofung, we're looking at a municipality that has had 5 mayors in 4 years. The current state of affairs is that July salaries for workers remain unpaid. When it comes to service delivery, hospitals in the area have reached chronic shortages in as far as water is concerned. So why is it that despite the changes in mayoral office, we simply have not seen a change in terms of the functionality of the municipality? Councillor Tumelo Tebe is Executive Mayor of Maluti Apofung. Good morning, Councillor Tumelo. Thanks for your time. And you were installed as Mayor in April this year.
Yes, Makethy, let me take the opportunity to greet your listeners and yourself, Makethy.
Let me also welcome onto the show Mutlanyana Sekete, who is a resident of Maluti Apofung. Mutlanyana, good morning.
Good morning, Sekete, and good morning to the listeners.
I want to start with you, Mutlanyana, because as residents, you have been living with the impact, right? You've got a bit of a revolving door in the municipality, one mayor after the other. Unfortunately, the result has not been a municipality that is performing better. If anything, it seems that the state of affairs continues to get worse. What do you think the problem has been as residents looking on and watching the situation?
The problem here at Maluti Apofung is that all these people who are being elected into office, from the councillors down to the officials of the municipality, it seems as if there is no interest to serve the interest of the community. Actually, corruption seems to be tolerated and being done with impunity. No accountability, no one taking responsibility for all the chaos and mess as a result of malfeasance. We have, on the side of electricity, there's a crisis. On the side of water, there's a crisis. On the side of roads, there's a crisis. Let me start first, Kathy, with the problem with the electricity here at Maluti-Apofu. The municipality is having the license to operate and do whatever it takes to provide electricity to the communities. And they have the responsibility to pay ESCOM. As the ESCOM is the main supplier of electricity. But that is not done. Because money people pay for electricity, money that is supposed to go to ESCOM doesn't reach the coffers of ESCOM. There was a mayor who was in charge when all the people who were paying for electricity could see vehicles collecting money from the vendors. But that money didn't reach the municipal coffers. There's no record of such money, and the people could see that money is being plundered with impunity and no consequence management. People got arrested when only the municipal area where they kept the money, the safe, was broken into, and people got arrested. Only in that instance that people got arrested. But the chain of money movement within the municipality where accountability should be seen, really, there's no one taking responsibility for all the measures. Now we are sitting at about 9 billion owed to ESCOM. There was the DAA signed by the municipality and the municipal council, where Treasury was trying to intervene as to how can the Treasury assist this municipality to get out of this debt. There was an agreement that within 3 years, if the municipality can just comply and pay debt to ESCOM, can pay monthly fees to ESCOM as required. Therefore, after 3 years, the Treasury will just pay the remaining amount. But that was not done because of the chaos in the council, the people not taking responsibility on the collection of money from the residents, the chaos that there is no system in place. Therefore, we are now sitting at about more than 10 billion. It is more than 9 billion. It is more than 10 billion as we speak now. That is owed to ESCOM.
Yeah.
Therefore,
Mutlanyana, I want you to talk to us very briefly because I want to give the mayor an opportunity to come in. And I think you've explained quite well how the issue has been, executive after executive, you still have the prevailing matters of, as you've said, malfeasance, mismanagement of the municipality's coffers. Now, how is this affecting you as residents? I understand that even a lot of small businesses have had to shut their doors, and this is due to electricity and water supply challenges.
Exactly, Siskete. There are businesses which have closed down. The other business is in the mall where Nando's have closed down because of the high the bill and the purchase of diesel was so high that they cannot afford anymore. Then we have this Nestle in Harrismith, which is employing a large number of people, which is threatening to leave the area, also because of unreliable electricity supply. Then, currently, as we speak now, we are experiencing very low temperatures in this side and the mountains. We have snow all around the mountains here, and as I speak to you now, there is no electricity. Then it is a very serious challenge. Therefore, we have challenges on electricity, on water, on roads, then corruption.
Okay.
This is a capital place for corruption.
Mutlanyana, I'm going to ask you to pause it there. So, Councillor Dumelo, you stepping in, in April, it's just a couple of months, right, that you've been in office. What would you say you have inherited? Describe the state of affairs. You've now had time to go through the books. You've had time to really study the lay of the land.
Sis Kathy, let me thank you once more. It's so embarrassing to hear the Mutlanyana speaking like that. Kathy, let me say for the initial stage of inception of this new council, the same that Mutlanyana was in the office of the executive mayor from the organization civic movement called Mutlanyana was in the office of the executive mayor from the organization civic movement called MAP 60 for the old MAP 60 for the almost 2, if not 3 years. We had a substation that had been built since the past council, and that substation was never finished. Only now, since we took over, we are pushing for that substation to be finished, and it will be finished by November, which will assist in terms of the consistency of electricity supply to the people of Maluti Apofu. With regards to the other issue that he raised of corruption, he also mentioned that the money was collected from vendors but not reaching the municipality. But at the same time, he's saying, McCarthy, that people were arrested who broke into the safe to steal the same money. With regards to the issue of the companies leaving Maluti Apofu, McCarthy, I can assure people of Maluti Apofu we're in talks with Nestle, and Nestle is on the process of expanding itself here in Harrismith. So I'm just trying to give the picture, McCarthy, to say some of the issues that are raised are just for political.
So Dumelo, just to go back, did you say that Mr. Sikit is a former mayor?
He's the spokesperson of the former mayor.
Okay, so he's not the former mayor then?
No, not him. He was the spokesperson of the former mayor.
Yes, under the civic movement that they run. Okay, yes. All right. I just needed to clarify because you'd said that he was former mayor and served for 3 years. All right, no, that's fine. Continue.
With regards to the issue of ESCOM, McCarthy, it's a well-known issue that yes, the municipality is owing ESCOM, and currently, McCarthy, we are having a DAE, as he has said, with ESCOM, which is basically to assist us with our infrastructure to have the same supply of electricity, which is going to assist us also to deal with their bill. We have given ESCOM, McCarthy, about 100 large power users that are primarily serviced by the same ESCOM, with the issue of dealing with the debt. Primarily serviced by the same ESCOM, with the issue of dealing with the debt of ESCOM. We are also having what we call a debt review with ESCOM, where Treasury indeed is coming in to assist us. Currently, we are also having a project of smart meters, which we are working along with Treasury to reduce the debt. The reality, of Maluta Pofu is that our own people are unable to pay for the services due to the same issue that we know that are affecting the entire country with the issues of unemployment. So, I'm just trying to give you the narrative. But we are on work, we're doing our roads currently, which is the regraveling. Even though we had challenges, then we had to stop. Now, the other challenge that we had, was the issue of the current issue that was affecting the majority of municipalities with regards to the issues of salaries for the workers. Now, that on its own are some of the challenges that we are dealing with in Mekhe.
So why haven't you paid worker salaries? If the situation is not as bad as has been described, why have workers not been paid?
It's not as bad as it has been described.
Why have workers not been paid?
The workers were not
as has been described. Why have workers not been paid?
It's not as bad as it has been described.
Why have workers not been paid?
The workers basically because of the challenges that the Treasury had to withhold the issue of equitable share. Now, the Treasury had to withhold the issue of equitable share. Now, the reason is, we are having a very low a collection in terms of revenue. But within that, we are also being able to buy some of the necessities like your graveling trucks, the cars that assist in terms of electricity. But we're using that money that we're getting from collection to buy this resource. And you'll remember, part of the requirements for equitable share is basically for service delivery related issues.
And that's what's surprising me here, because as you rightfully acknowledge, the equitable share is not necessarily supposed to be covering salaries. It's supposed to be helping you as a municipality fund your basic services, including and especially for poor households. So how do you justify that you've not paid salaries and that's due to the withholding of the equitable share?
This is what I was trying to explain, McKessie. You are correct that the equitable share should be used to subsidize our own people who cannot afford. But at the same time, we also have the role as a municipality also to assist the same people not waiting for equitable share to come. McKessie, I will tell you one thing. We are having challenges with people not registering in numbers for equitable share. We are doing roadshow to bring people to come register to equitable for indigent, which is what also assists us in terms of the equitable share. But the demand within our community does not speak to what we get. So these are some of the challenges that we are experiencing in Mekhe. Hence, we are also using our own source to assist the community for not waiting.
So the Treasury has released those monies now, right?
Yes.
Why are workers still not paid?
Workers have been paid, Mekhe.
When were they paid?
No the workers were paid on the 31st, Mekhe.
The reports that we have is that workers were not paid their July salaries.
Which is a blatant lie. Hence, I'm saying, Mekhe, some of the issues that are raised are just raised because we are heading to elections. Now, everybody has the hype of giving wrong information to the media to mislead the media and to give a picture to the country that Malutapofu is one of the municipalities that did not pay workers, as issues that have been raised here, as I also tried to show you, Mekesi, that what has been portrayed is not a real reflection of what is happening.
Mutanyana, let me give you a chance to come in very briefly.
Yes, ma'am. On that part of salaries not being paid, salaries were not paid in time. Usually, workers are getting their salaries on the 23rd, but a letter came in on the 22nd to inform that there is no money to can pay them. They should wait, meaning solely the municipality is relying on equitable share to pay salaries of the workers. Because the money was withheld, Mr. Tebe is agreeing to the truth that money paid to the workers is money from the equitable share, which is not supposed to be like that. Thank you.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's on that note where we're going to have to leave it, because it's now 8:30, time for the latest news headlines.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, government says it's assessing the damage caused by severe weather conditions across parts of the country. The assessment follows heavy snowfall in KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape, while severe thunderstorms continue to affect several provinces, including Mpumalanga and Gauteng. The ANC in Gauteng says the provincial spokesperson, Mzikaifani Kumalo, will be buried on Saturday. He died yesterday at the age of 54. And 132 people are now known to have been killed and 572 others injured in a powerful earthquake which struck West Colombia yesterday. Many more are missing. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. A reminder that all major pass routes through the Eastern Cape and KZN are open this morning. That includes Penhook Pass, it includes Barclay Pass, roads around the Drakensberg area, up around Memel, also the Majuba Pass that was closed early hours this morning. That's all been reopened. So just be mindful of how you go. Conditions are freezing in areas, and that could lead to slippery conditions, but no major blockages. Joburg first up now. A crash on the M2 at Crown Interchange, very heavy coming in from Denver and Benrose. Roadworks on the N17, still causing delays at Boxburg and at Wadeville. Crash on the R21, leaving the airport up towards Tembisa, just by the Bupsfontein exit. Allendale Road from Tembisa across to Midrand is super heavy this morning. N14 North, queuing to Jean Avenue. Looks like there's been an issue there this morning. And the N1 North, crash scenes just at Rigel, and another one at Garsfontein. Pretty heavy backlogs from Centurion, making your way up that N1. The M1 South is heavy as well, from Montana all the way down to sort of Buerta Avenue this morning. Crash on the Mopoli Highway near Bremer, so coming into Pretoria on the Mighty Highway, very slow this morning. Durban, a breakdown still with us before Gateway. Traffic jam-packed on that run-up through Kormashu. M4 taking a little bit of a spillover. That's slow, getting up towards Mhlanga as well today. M13 has finally eased up on your way down Fields Hill. And Cape Town, a crash on the N1 inbound at Okavango Road. Very heavy coming in from Crieff at Lord Charles Hotel. Broadway Boulevard, badly backed up. Strand across the highway into that Somerset West area. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
This is SAfm Sport with Zai Khan.
It's 8:33. Zai Khan is standing by with a final look at your sport this morning. But Zai, before we do, we've got this voice note.
Hey, Katie, I've detected something now. Since you have taken up this show, your level of knowledge of sport, or football particularly, has risen up. Your knowledge, yes, I must agree with myself that it has improved.
Why is Zai Khan laughing?
And the understanding also.
I'm trying not to.
However, though, I don't know who should I give credit to. Is it to Zai Khan, or should I give that credit to your producers? Help me to understand. Thank you. Butinkonki, Bonafide, son of Indo in the Eastern Cape.
Butinkonki, yeah, thanks for that WhatsApp voice. I think you can credit Zycon. You see, I have to keep up in our conversations. So now when when there are games on, I can't say I must watch over weekends. I'm like, oh, there's another soccer match. There's more rugby. Oh, can't just wait for the results.
Fine. I'll happily take that assist, Kathy, and some to the producers. But guess what? You're the one scoring the goals.
I knew that I was at the point of no return when I was watching the Golden Arrows game, and I'm like, yes. Why? Why am I doing this?
I think you're going to invoice for it later.
I'm invoicing you. I'm definitely invoicing
There
you.
we go. Kathy's invoicing me after the show. So yeah, all the sports tuition is not free, okay? But let's start with the Sharks. They've been dealt another injury setback ahead of tonight's rugby greatest rivalry clash against the touring All Blacks in Durban. The Springbok flank, Vincent Shituka, he's been ruled out with concussion. He's joining Bongi Mbonambi, Makazole Mapimpi, and the brothers Jordan and Jaden Hendrickse, all on the sidelines. The coach JP Peterson admits his side is still in pre-season and says the Sharks may only be operating at 70 to 80%, but insists they'll give everything against the powerful All Blacks outfit at Kings Park tonight, kickoff at 7 p.m. More rugby, the Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus has recalled the veteran utility forward Dion Fourie ahead of the rugby's greatest rivalry series against the All Blacks. The 39-year-old returns to the national squad 3 years after his last test following a string of serious injuries. Erasmus rewarded Fourie after an outstanding performance for the Stormers against New Zealand in Cape Town last week, where he definitely rolled back the years with a try, a crucial turnovers, and tireless defensive displays. Soccer, the Betway Premiership takes centre stage tonight. A blockbuster program gets underway. We've got the reigning African champions, Mamelodi Sundowns, launching their league campaign against TS Galaxy at Mbombela Stadium. Kick-off at 7:30. Elsewhere tonight, Polokwane City will host Stellenbosch FC. Chippa United welcome Richards Bay, while Maruma Gallants will take on newly promoted Kruger United. The action will continue tomorrow when Orlando Pirates will travel to Amazulu. Kaizer Chiefs look to bounce back from their MTN8 exit against Sekhukhune United. Durban City face Golden Arrows in a KwaZulu-Natal derby. And Milford will host Siwelele. More soccer, CAF has confirmed a packed continental football calendar for the 2026-27 season, with several major tournaments now locked in. South Africa will host the 2027 CAF Super Cup, and that's in Pretoria, where the CAF Champions League winners, Mamelodi Sundowns, will face Confed Cup holders USM Alger, and that's on the 8th of November next year. Ghana will stage the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations, Morocco hosting the Under-17 AFCON, and this year's Futsal AFCON, while Egypt will welcome the Under-23 AFCON, which doubles as qualification for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games. And finally, Kenya has officially submitted its bid to host the 2029 World Athletics Championships, aiming to become the first African nation to stage the sport's premier event. Nairobi is up against London, Rome and Munich, with World Athletics expected to announce the host city next month. That's your sport, so we'll leave it there for now on the athletics podium. Check back with John Hediger. Up against London, Rome and Munich, with World Athletics expected to announce the host city next month. That's your sport, so we'll leave it there for now on the athletics podium. Check back with John Hediger around 12:30 for more. I'm Zai Khan.
Get into real conversations weekdays at 4:30 on SABC2 with me, Penny Libiani, with Ain't Like Let's Connect.
I'm Frederica Lucas, bringing you some of the most inspiring guests and practical advice.
Every evening, we bring family advice and all your favorite celebrities.
It's a big celebration of local talent from across industries.
Catch Ain't Like Let's Connect weekdays at 4:30 on SABC2 or stream anytime on SABC Plus.
Your business needs that new cold chain fridge, but do you have the cash to fund it? Before you compromise on the core items your business needs, have you looked at saving on your business insurance? Switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. For pharmacies, convenience stores, restaurants, beauty salons and all other businesses, visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP, T's, C's and information online.
Call SAFM now on 086 000 2032.
All right, I'm going to be taking some of your calls. So some interesting messages coming through in response to the reality check, right? And I want to read this one from Felix in Midrand, who says the imperative for black women economic empowerment is the right thing to do alongside black men, not because black men were ever advantaged before. How can we regard slavery as economic empowerment? The 1956 Women's March was mainly against women being subjected to the same brutal pass laws that black men were subjected to. So much for empowerment, says Felix. And somebody else also saying, Kathy, the best way should be to empower a nation and not individual gender. We should consider family income and not just empower a set gender, which has the potential of skewing empowerment and disenfranchisement of certain family, i.e. male-dominated families versus female-dominated families. And the listener goes on to say a family is blessed with girl children versus the one with boys, which will be disadvantaged and end up with anyone who can pull that family out of poverty. So certainly bringing a different perspective to the conversation we've been having around the empowerment of women as leaders. And I think what Felix is saying is so true. Because even when we look at, yes, the empowerment of men, let's say we take a look at the economy, the men that are in senior positions, it's largely white men. It's not necessarily black men. And so do we find that at some point black men are falling through the cracks when we have this empowerment conversation? Is that something else that we need to be looking at differently? I'll take your calls on that too. Sipho, you're calling us from KZN. Good morning.
Katie, maybe today, man, you're going to leave it there. But straight to the point.
Yes.
I'm trying, that's a small point for me to help the big organization called ANC. If they can prepare the future president, Mhlekazi Mamtitiza, to be a future president, followed by her deputy, Mhlekazi Mama Nkosazana Zuma, because she's a woman of the truth. I'll be glad if this can happen, to have the ANC. Thirdly and last, please, if the ANC, the honorable members there can gather their heads with the former president, Ubaba Uzuma. Why? Because Ubaba Uzuma has scored votes for the ANC with him. If they can approach the big man there and sit down with him, ANC will come up again in future.
You don't think that boat has sailed, Sipho?
Just come again, Katie.
I'm saying you don't think that boat has sailed. You don't think that the opportunity for that moment, the former President Jacob Zuma and the ANC to come together has passed.
Yeah, but I'm saying if they cannot come again, come together and talk again, leave the opposition, all the differences, but to rebuild the ANC.
Okay.
Because the KZN, if they can go to him again, ANC will rise up again.
Okay, let's leave it there. Sipho in KZN. Eunice, you're in Joburg. Good morning, Eunice.
Hi there, Kathy. Kathy, you know, you've been running the series on the 90th birthday of SABC, and you've been having a host of talk show hosts, you know, various different people.
Yes,
coming
the voices of SAFM.
Yes. Now, you know, Kathy, I just wanted to bring to your attention, you had a past producer there, Sikim Kabadeli. And like you, she was articulate, she good command of the language. So, but, you know, after she left the SABC, I think she had some problems, or she had a bad stroke.
Yes.
And just to, you know, a friend of mine just sent me a video over the weekend, and I've seen Siki with a physio teaching her how to walk again. So I know she wouldn't be able to come onto your show, but all I'm saying is for past listeners, or listeners who remember her, just to keep her in their prayers. Really,
Absolutely.
Siki was so sweet, and I just thought I'll bring that up because she was it's so sad to see, but I wish her well, and I'm sure others too, and hope she has a speedy recovery.
Eunice, that's such a lovely message for Sikim Kabadeli. And if you follow her social media, from time to time she will post some videos on her progress. It's been remarkable just what she went through with the stroke and how she's been slowly but surely recovering. And of course, you know, we can all just hope for the fact that she has the best recovery as possible. And it's just one of those things, Eunice, that you look at and you're like, how do we explain this? You know, what does life have in store for us? We just never know.
Today, like they say, your health is your wealth. You know, one day you could be okay, the next day something goes wrong. And all I can say is, you know, I can still remember her laugh. She had that laugh, other listeners, and, you know, wish her a speedy recovery once again. And I'm sure others will concur with me.
Eunice, thank you for that.
Thanks,
and I'm
Kathy.
sure Siki would appreciate that so much. And if you can, just go into her page, right, and send her a message, write those messages for her. I know that often she talks about and I'm sure Siki would appreciate that so much. And if you can, just go into her page, right, and send her a message, write those messages for her. I know that often she talks about just how encouraging it is to have the support, especially support of those that have enjoyed her work over the years.
Morning, Kati. Hoping you well. This is Daniel. Kati, the mayor of Maluti, he's only playing with our ears. You ask him, why were the workers not being paid? He start telling the stories now. He's lying. He's telling her that they were buying these necessities. Now, what does it mean? Katie. I don't know. I just don't know. Thanks, Katie.
Kathy, so can Tandy tell us why does women not choose women? Why is it that when a woman is chosen, it's then chosen by a man for leadership? Why don't women choose women?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Do we have some women that are willing to answer that question? Why women don't choose other women, especially if it's a woman who is in a position of leadership and has the deciding vote, right? Can actually appoint, has that influence, that power. Double you're in 4 ways. Good morning.
Morning, Casey. How are you?
Good. Go for it, Double Ho.
How are you? Let me go for it.
It's okay.
Look, Casey, I would like to say, that's my view, by the way. I understand when people come on and raise their questions like, why only women? Why men? Or why men are not accepting women? But the thing is, we need to understand that where we are at the moment is that the 9th of August, we're in South Africa, we dubbed it as a Women's Month. So the conversation will pick a small part of the whole that we have amongst all the men that we have in our country that can pick a day for, just this one is about women. Let's just say that we know the cultures that we grew up around. Like they put women in certain spaces. We tend to change that. You can look at all the ethnicities that we have within our country here. Somewhere along the way, there's a spot where they put a woman in a very disadvantaged point. So what I'm trying to say, Katie, is that we understand the mess. But the thing is, at the moment, as South Africans, we are looking at one of part of the whole and say that let's just acknowledge them and their existence also. Those questions can ask them at different platforms, but when we speak about women and women leadership, they also deserve an opportunity to say that they've done it thus far, and then can continue from here based on everything else and not ignored, obviously. But at the moment, just focus on that.
Deborah, I would take it even further and say that it's not just about the fact that it's Women's Month. If you look at the data that we sit with as a country, women are at the very bottom of the food chain economically. Correct. That's not a perception, it's the reality. The face of poverty, the face of unemployment in this country, unfortunately, is the face of an African black woman. And that cannot be denied. And that's why the conversation will come up in the way that it does. Because unless we begin to do things differently, nothing is going to change, especially economically for the status of women. Takalani, you're in Limpopo. Good morning.
Morning, Jesse. How are you?
Well, go for it, Takalani.
Yes, I just want to respond to what the statistician indicated. If I heard him correctly, he said, I'm just paraphrasing, he said, when we get somebody on the street and ask him whether he smokes or not, even though we saw him smoking, if the person says, I don't smoke, he said, we take what he said. So if they are doing like that, if they are working like that, so does it mean that the information that they are providing us with is that credible? So number two, Casey, corruption, we know that is an emergency. Why can't parliamentarians call a sitting and talk about it so that they can address it? Thank you so much.
Takalani out in Limpopo. You know, Takalani, I've always wondered the same thing. But of course, they do account for this, especially when you look at the margin of error of statistics, etc., etc. So there is a way in which, in as far as the formula is concerned, in a way in which it balances itself out. But you're right. If you're seeing somebody who smokes and you're asking them, are you a smoker? And they say, no, surely you should be able to record that as a yes. But this is not a subjective process. It's not up to what the researcher or the data capturer believes or sees. It's really what people are saying.
SAfm, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
A lot of crashes around Pretoria at the moment. One on the N14 northbound at Jean Avenue. If you're on your way up through Centurion into Pretoria, quite a heavy backlog into that one. Crash on the M1 north before Garsfontein. That traffic remains slow. Getting up from Centurion from about Buata Avenue, it's all backed up. Collision on the N4 before Simon Vermuten. If you're driving into Pretoria, that's heavy. And a little crash earlier at Sefako Makato and Montana. Well, Sefako Makato and Moloto Road, I beg your pardon, the other side of Montana. And that's still slow. All approaches into that one. Joburg, collision on the R21 north at Bopsfontein Road. If you're leaving the airport up towards Tembisa, that is slow. Crash on the N12 and R24 route coming into Galuli's interchange, and a collision on the M2 west at Crown. Very heavy in from Denver and Benrose into central Johannesburg this morning. Durban, the breakdown on the N2 north before the gateway exit is still there. If you're on your way to the airport, it's really sluggish from as far back as Kumashu. Cape Town, collisions around the Brackenfell area this morning. One on the N1 inbound a little bit earlier around Okavango Road. That is being cleared, but it's left a real backlog of traffic coming through from Kraaifontein side, and a crash at Kraaifontein on the N1 outbound causing a delay from Brackenfell. R44 Broadway Boulevard, traffic lights down at Main Road. That's the Lord Charles Hotel junction. Really bad traffic on the Broadway Boulevard section from Strand, Gordons Bay side, past Somerset Mall, over the highway and in towards that junction. The N2 outbound off-ramping at Broadway Boulevard, quite heavy as well. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
Built in Mzansi on the National Briefing.
It's 8:54. You're still tuned into the National Briefing, so we're going to get into our Built in Mzansi feature for today. Now, often what retailers cannot sell is treated as waste. Tracy Chambers is co-founder and CEO of Taking Care of Business, and she saw an opportunity, right? This is really where stock could become a small business and an income and a route out of poverty. Tracy, good morning to you. Thanks for your time this morning. So tell us about how the model works.
Good morning, Kathy, and thanks for the opportunity. So basically the model works that within the retail supply chain, especially the fashion resale supply chain, there's a lot of excess. So excess could be customer returns, end of season merchandise, or a bulk rejection because there's a fault on a garment. And those garments become a problem for retailers. So back in 2010, I was an ex-executive of Woolworths and proposed to the CEO that we would take all of that product off their hands and use it to help unemployed South Africans, mostly women, start trading businesses. So all of that product is donated to us annually from all of South Africa's major retailers. Now we get about 1.8 million items. And then we recruit unemployed South Africans into a 2-year. And then we recruit unemployed South Africans into a 2-year program where they learn, all of the business skills, but also we do a lot of life skills work, coaching, mentoring, counseling, because many of the people that we work with have been through a lot and are rebuilding their lives.
Tracy, when we look at the value of this clothing, right? It's an industry close to about 150 million rand a year. Is that correct?
Yes, well, that is the value of the goods that are donated to us by retailers. So that's what they paid for them. And that would be the write-off in their books. We are not always able to recover. We sell the items to the participants in our program at significantly discounted prices, and they would then add a nice healthy markup to make profits on that. So, that's essentially the waste that would be considered in the supply chain.
From a sustainability point of view, what role would you say
to make profits on that? So, that's essentially the waste that would be considered in the supply chain.
From a sustainability point of view, what role would you say all of this is playing?
Well, the risk with fashion merchandise and, goods that don't have an end of life is that those could have ended in landfill, and we've been able to divert 2 million items a year from landfill to really give them the next life. So we focus on reuse, as in the goods are in a saleable condition or need small repairs. In another one of our programs, which is called Remake. So we have 3 programs that are in the circular economy. The first one deals with pretty new goods that can be immediately reused. In our Remake program, we recruit people who don't have sewing skills, teach them amazing technical sewing skills, and then use goods that can't be used in their current format and upcycle those into recruit people who don't have sewing skills, teach them amazing technical sewing skills, and then use goods that can't be used in their current format and upcycle those into new items that are then saleable. And then in our repair program, we get other goods such as returned electrical appliances or anything that's not clothing that you would see in a general merchandise store. And there we teach the technical skills to repair electrical goods, as well as anything else really. And then that model is buy, repair, and sell. And that really is diverting unused, non-working appliances from landfill, which is making a significant difference and is now a requirement in terms of the legislation to do that by by manufacturers and retailers.
Let's talk about the impact that this is having then, particularly on the beneficiaries, the jobs, the income earning opportunities that you've created.
Yeah, so since we started in 2010, we've helped more than 8,000 unemployed South Africans start businesses. And these are township-based businesses largely. So these are our typical beneficiary is a woman who's 35 years old. She's raising 2 kids, often alone, and couldn't find work in the formal sector. So really, starts out having to run a business, but leaves our program really as an inspiring entrepreneur who has now got the spirit and the spirit of entrepreneurship in her veins. And she is now really an excellent trader. She doesn't just sell goods that she buys from taking care of business. She finds opportunities and really is able to build a very significant income from these businesses. And we track that. We track her journey using about 50 indicators. And what we track, we're very interested in what changes in her life and in her family as well.
Tracy Chambers, co-founder and CEO, taking care of business. And on that note, that's where we're going to leave it for today on the National Briefing. The show back with you again tomorrow. Up next, the Daily Discourse with Joanne Joseph.
In our top stories, Eastern Cape reopens mountain passes as snowfall eases, and newly elected SACP leadership focuses on local government elections. Good morning. The Eastern Cape Transport Department says most mountain passes that were closed have been reopened. This as the snowfall subsides across the province. The department says roads remain slippery and has urged motorists to be cautious. It also says there's fog and drizzle on Penhoek Pass on the N6 between Komani and James Kalata, resulting in poor visibility. The department spokesperson, Unati Bingoshe.
Much welcome developments for us after yesterday road closures which affected the flow of traffic on some of our major roads, including the N9 and the N6. But we know that we're not out of the woods yet because conditions remain wet and slippery in those areas. And with the temperatures still very low, things can still change at any moment. So urge road users, motorists in particular, to approach those mountain passes with extreme caution.
Government says it's assessing the damage caused by severe weather conditions across parts of the country. The assessment follows heavy snowfall in KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape. While severe thunderstorms continue to affect several provinces, including Mpumalanga and Gauteng, Deputy Government Spokesperson William Baloyi says they will roll out a plan once teams on the ground identify what impacted communities need.
As we are speaking, we will be taking stock late in the later hours of the areas that are mostly affected. Our emergency services at both provincial and local municipalities were working throughout the night and then they are advising us. So I think we'll be having a better idea as the time goes on. As I've indicated that in some areas, it started snowing last night again. So then we'll be able to check it again. So then we'll be able to check how much impact does it make.
The newly elected SACP leadership in the Northwest says it will make preparing for the November local government elections its priority. The party elected new leadership at its 10th provincial conference in Klerksdorp at the weekend. The SACP's provincial secretary, Smuts Matse.
We've elected the
provincial leadership that is led by Comrade Smart Matse as the Secretary Baleng Alfred Dikole, as the Chairperson Boipelo Mareko as the Treasurer. The first Deputy Secretary is Evelyn Msweta. The second Deputy Secretary is Thabo Mashomo, with Aaron Mutubi as the Deputy Chairperson. For the next few weeks, till the 4th of November, much of our focus will be on municipal elections.
The ANC in Gauteng says the provincial spokesperson Mzikaifa Nikumalo will be buried on Saturday. He died yesterday at the age of 54. Provincial coordinator of the ANC Gauteng Provincial Task Team, Sochahile Kanyele, says Kumalo collapsed at his home before being rushed to hospital. He says details of the memorial service are still being finalized and will be communicated at a later stage.
All we know is what was reported to us by the family, that he collapsed at his house and he was then rushed to hospital, and unfortunately he passed on. Currently the family has decided that he will be buried on Saturday. We are yet to finalize all other plans or details, particularly that has to do with memorial service. We will obviously inform the community as soon as that is finalized.
And finally, 132 people are now known to have been killed and 572 others injured in a powerful earthquake which struck West Colombia yesterday. Many more are missing. Rescuers in hard-hit cities, including Cali, are racing to reach those trapped under buildings the 7.4 magnitude quake brought down. Alejandro Eda is the mayor of Cali.
We're still searching around the city. It's a very large city, and it was a very strong quake. And these first 48 hours are key to getting people out, to getting people to safety. We're tending to this emergency primarily with, it was a very strong quake, and these first 48 hours are key to getting people out, to getting people to safety. We're tending to this emergency primarily with our own firefighters and our own search and rescue teams. We have a USAR search and rescue team here in Cali, and we're waiting for more teams to arrive from other major cities in Colombia.
Recapping the top story, the Eastern Cape Transport Department says most mountain passes that were closed have been reopened. This as the Cape Transport Department says most mountain passes that were closed have been reopened. This as the snowfall subsides across the province. For SAfm News, I am Anne Musa.
SAfM 104.2
subsides across the province. For SAfm News, I am Anne Musa.
SAfM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation.
Durban, the promenade is calling and the purple wave is taking over the East Coast. It's time to lace up for the Hollywood Bets Durban 10-kilometer road race on Sunday, 30 August. The race covers the beautiful tour of the city, combining urban streets, scenic coastal roads, and stunning beachfront stretches with views of the Indian Ocean. Catch all the action live on SABC2 and SABC Plus from 7 a.m. on Sunday, 30th of August. The Hollywood Bets Durban 10-kilometer road race, brought to you by SABC Sports.
At Specsavers, we're committed to offering affordable and professional eye care. That's why we're offering 1,500 Rand worth of savings with our winter promotion. Get a free frame up to the value of 1,500 Rand, or use the 1,500 Rand on one of our leading vision enhancements, like Climate Eyes, which automatically adapts to changing light. To qualify, simply purchase a comprehensive eye examination and prescription frame and lenses. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
Breaking news, SAfM Radio has just turned 90 years old this year.
It's SAfM, Martin Vilagazi from Voice of Vets, Vow 88.1. Congratulations on reaching 90 years of excellence in radio broadcast service. Keep it going, keep it up. SAfM, we love you.
SAfm.
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 Every wish reminds us why SAFM is more than just a radio station.
Up, SFM, we love you.
SAfm.
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 Every wish reminds us why SAFM is more than just a radio station.
Catch them Mzansi's beautiful game sport documentary.
For me, Neto, really, in the club football where I played a lot of my football to with the ladies, at times I would play as a striker.
From the 5th of July to the 23rd of August 2026.
Banyana governments is like Bafana's government right now at the moment. So we believe in them and we're proud of them. What they did, they did wonders to the country.
Brought to you by the SAFM's award-winning drama department. Ala Bafana. This is what we are becoming. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Looking for exclusive content, live events, and special broadcasts like the Madlanga Commission? Then connect to the all-new SAFM Connect stream. The Madlanga Commission, live and uninterrupted from 9:30 Monday to Friday. SAFM Connect brings you more of the conversations that matter. Listen anytime, anywhere by visiting connect.safm.co.za or stream directly on SABC Plus at sabc-plus.com. SAFM Connect. More conversations, more access. There's much more coming. The Daily Discourse on SAFM with Joanne Joseph, unpacking the issues that matter. The Daily Discourse on SAFM, weekday mornings from 9 to 12.
9 minutes past 12. Good morning and welcome to the Daily Discourse. Great to be with you this morning. It is a chilly morning in Johannesburg. It was all of 2 degrees as I drove to work this morning, but I imagine it is much the same in many other places in the country this morning. I hope you're managing to keep warm. I'm Joanne Joseph. The team is with you. Melissa and Guinea, we're producing the show and taking your calls. Patrick is on sound. Now remember, apart from listening to us on the radio, you can also listen live on DSTV channel 814. You can go to our website and listen live there, or you can go to the SABC Plus app, which is a great way of streaming if you are on the move today. We're also video streaming our broadcast, so you can watch us from anywhere in the world on YouTube, Facebook and X. Hello and welcome if you are joining us from overseas. And don't forget that if you haven't managed to catch the show in its entirety, our digital team loads all the podcasts onto our website, so you can catch up on all our interviews on demand there. Now remember, we always start the show with an open line, so our number here is 086 000 2032. Our WhatsApp line 0614 104 107. Send those voice notes through, keep them short, sharp and audible. We really appreciate hearing from you over the course of the show. Let's tell you what's on the menu today. We're kicking off with what was supposed to have happened at the Madlanga Commission today. So Fadil Adams, the head of the National Coloured Commission, was meant to have appeared in front of the Madlanga Commission today. Apparently, he only got his affidavit in late last night, so it looks as though he may not be there. Nonetheless, we're going to connect with Sibahla Mota, our SABC News reporter, to find out exactly what's happening there and who will be appearing in his place this morning. And then a little bit later on, we're talking about this very worrying issue of political killings. We know that these killings tend to ramp up before an election. That has traditionally been the pattern in our country. It's horrific indeed, but nonetheless, it is what happens. And, Julian Rademeyer, who's a researcher, has been looking into this. He's a researcher in organised crime. But we're speaking to David Bruce about that, and he's going to tell us exactly what's behind this, why we see a resurgence of this kind of conduct at this time of, in the run-up to these elections, I should say. And we're also going to speak to Salga about that a little bit later on. It really is so sad to see these councillors going to work and being shot on the way there or being shot while in their offices. And why? Why does it need to happen? It is so so unnecessary. This is politics. This is not, it should not be, the contestation that we see should be happening from a political point of view, right? It should not be happening where people are literally putting their lives on the line by standing for election. And then a little bit later on, what I think is going to be a huge treat today, we're going to have Bongi Gwala join us. Now, you would have known Bongi's voice. He is a former SAFM presenter. He was on the station in the early 2000s, and certainly he left an impression on many of our listeners. And so we're bringing him back this morning as part of our 90th birthday celebrations. He's going to be in studio with me from 10 to 12 today. So we'll be bouncing it between us for the second 2 hours of this show. And I'm looking forward to having him on board. And then a little bit later on in the show, we're talking about the issue of consumer goods. There have been so many complaints to the Consumer Goods Ombudsman about transactions that have taken place in the last year. I think that if I remember correctly, the number of complaints has gone up by 26%. And I think it's complicated by the fact that we're buying a lot more online now. And so the regulation of all of these transactional processes is perhaps not governed as well as it should be. And consequently, the complaints are not only more, the resolution of the complaints is also a problem. So we're going to speak to the Ombud a little bit later on. And then, of course, the DA launched its manifesto over the weekend. And Bongi and I are going to be talking to the DA National Spokesperson, Jan de Villiers, about what is on the cards and what they're putting forward ahead of the local government elections on the 4th of November. And you be the judge as to whether the DA is the party for you or not. We're going to be running these interviews with all of the parties launching their manifestos in the next few weeks, just to keep you in the picture as to what is being said by each party, so that you are able to make an informed choice at the ballot box. And then, of course, snow in various parts of the country. I'm just looking at the visuals on SABC TV News now. And these are pictures of the Garden Route District Municipality. Good heavens, I'm looking at the Swartberg Pass as well. It's closed at the moment. And actually beautiful visuals of the snow-covered mountains in the Swartberg, drawing a lot of people there. I think people have taken a chance and they've got onto the roads just to experience the beauty. But of course, it does come with a certain level of distraction. So we're going to be speaking to Simon Gear about that a little bit later on. And then that takes us up to our book reading at around 12 o'clock. Right now, I'm going to kick it off at 9:15 with the first issue of discussion we are looking at. Many eyes are going to be on the Madlanga Commission today. As I told you, National Coloured Congress leader Fadil Adams was supposed to have taken the stand. We know that Parliament had suspended Adams as an MP last week. Today, he was supposed to be questioned over a Section 27 whistleblower affidavit he deposed, which led to senior crime intelligence officials being investigated. Now, SABC News reporter Sibahle Mota is standing by at the Commission for us to tell us exactly what she thinks is going to happen this morning. Sibahle, good morning to you. A bit of a crazy morning from all sorts of angles. I mean, firstly, I understand that Fadil Adams was supposed to have appeared before the Commission this morning, but the Commission only received his affidavit late last night, so there was a good chance they would not be able to proceed with his testimony this morning. What's actually happening, Sibahle?
Good morning to you, Joanne, and to the listeners. I mean, I think it was somehow sort of expected, because I always say, this chair at the Madlanga Commission that witnesses tend to sit on is very, very hard. And, we had reached out to the spokesperson, Jeremy Michaels, I think on Sunday, and he had alleged that, they haven't received anything from Adams, but the confirmation coming through this morning to say that Adams has been subpoenaed. We can expect for him to be in the seat, but obviously his cross-examination and his testimony will not proceed as planned and as expected, because he only submitted his statements and accompanying documents at, I think, around 11 p.m. yesterday. And what is expected is the fact that obviously the evidence leaders need time to go through that statement and prepare for the commission, and we can anticipate a postponement on his testimony. So we don't even know as yet if the commission actually has another witness lined up. As you know, somebody like Fadil Adams is expected to take at least a couple of days on the stand. So we will hear as soon as 9:30 strikes to see what will happen after the postponement has been granted to the evidence leaders.
Sibahle, is always a guessing game in a case like this, but we've sometimes seen where people were unable to appear that their evidence has been read into the record. Is there a chance that might happen today?
No, not at all. I think, Fadil Adams is not like does not want to help and present himself before the commission. So I think what I get a sense of is that he only submitted his statements very late. So the evidence leaders obviously have not had enough time to prepare their questions and to see what he has responding to the notice 3 that he has been, supplied with. And this is him actually defending himself against these allegations. So I don't think they would read his statements on the record because he's not disagreeing to present himself before the Madlanga Commission. I think if in exceptional circumstances like him falling sick or being unable to present himself, then this is obviously an option that the Commission and the evidence leaders can consider.
All right, Sibahle Mutta, thank you very much for putting us in the picture. No doubt you'll tell us a little bit later on exactly how it's all played out once we see who appears before the Commission today. Sibahle, our SABC News reporter, coming to us live there from Pretoria, where the Madlanga Commission is about to get underway in about, just over 20 minutes or so. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we will take some of your calls.
Move with purpose from the first to the final job in a Hino 700 truck tractor. Available in either 410 or 450 horsepower. It gives you the flexibility to choose the right amount of power to suit your unique fleet and logistical needs. The Hino 700 truck tractor comes with a 6-year drivetrain warranty and 6-year service plan from as little as 1.9 million rand excluding VAT. Contact your nearest Hino dealer today to keep you moving. Offer available while stocks last. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
Running a courier business is so hard these days. The petrol price, the breakdown costs, and so much more. Luckily, I'm with My Way Business Insurance. I get to save up to 20% on my insurance premiums for my vehicles and goods in transit. And just like that, I have more money for all my costs.
Switch to My Way Business Insurance and save up to 20% on your vehicles and goods in transit. Real businesses, real savings. Call us on 0860 646464 today for a quote. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. Standard rates and T's and C's apply.
The Daily Discourse. More than talk, real understanding.
19 minutes past 9 here on the Daily Discourse, taking your calls on 086 000 2032. Lowered was quickest to the mark this morning. Lowered in Alberton. Good morning. You want to talk about SAnRaal, Lowered. Hi.
Good morning, Joanne. I'm in Guyana. I'm not in Alberton.
I see. Apologies for that.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, my dear sister. Yeah, man. SAnRaal, my sister Joanne, has been one of the most effective government-run entities. But lately, they seem to have dropped the ball. They are a bit lackadaisical, according to my point of view. You know, I traveled on the R24 from Alberton, joining R21. So, but yes, all those places, the stretch of the freeways, they are dark. The interchanges, they are dark. Some of these poles, they are hanging. I do not know what is going on with SAnRaal because the place is very dark. It's only when one is approaching you and Mel Mafias where you can see some lights which are functional there. So I don't, maybe it's because of their leadership crisis. Since the current CEO, I think it's Mr. Reginald Demana, is conjuring up a resignation in some way. Mm-hmm. So hopefully the person who is going to replace him is going to pick up the pieces, because we cannot allow our freeways, which are our economic roads, to be in darkness. Our interchanges are in darkness. So I think something's wrong there. Yeah. Something is wrong there, my dear sister. So hopefully they are listening, and then they will up their game, because we cannot appreciate what is going on with SAnRaal.
I so agree with you. I so agree with you. I was driving that route. I've had to go to Pretoria at night a few times in the last month, and driving back at night is actually so intimidating. Very. Even though you're on the highway, I don't know. I'm loath to do 120, and even in the fast lane, because because it's so dark. It is so dark. It's pitch dark.
Yeah, true that. I know, I appreciate the opportunity, my sister. Hopefully they are listening. They will do something to rectify this mistake.
Yeah, maybe we should ask them. Lowered, thank you for that call, and thanks for reminding us. That's quite important. I mean, our road death toll is high enough. You don't want to make it worse by neglecting to make sure the lights are working on the highways. Silo in Mokopane is on the line to us. Silo, good morning. You want to react to Phumzile?
Good morning, Jan. Thanks for having me.
Hi.
Jan, yesterday, I think you should keep up the good work. Sometimes we'll disagree, sometimes we'll agree. That's right, Jan. That's how we engage each other. Yeah. But I was fascinated, and I do know that Phumzile is a passionate radio, is a passionate about the ANC. And the engagement that you had with him yesterday before the news of 11 o'clock, it was so, I was just giggling to say, it cannot be that we as supporters of political parties, we are going to disassociate other people, leaders, when it feels we feel like. Yes, so even now, currently, if we go and talk about the ANC, there is problems in the ANC. And then, are we going now to say President Ramaphosa is, we are going to exclude him after he has been removed from the ANC because of whatever reason that he might be removed, just like what Jacob Zuma. So then I think
just for the benefit of people who didn't hear that interaction, let me just tell our listeners there what happened. What Silo is talking about is one of our callers, Phumzile, who phoned in yesterday and said what Silo is talking about is one of our callers, Phumzile, who phoned in yesterday and said that you cannot associate individuals with a brand. So even when the previous presidents of the ANC were in power, you should have been looking at their actions as individuals, but not as a reflection of the ANC brand, which I very strongly disagreed with.
Yes, and then that engagement, it should happen every time. Doesn't matter if Phumzile or it's me or anyone. If I'm on air, John, and I'm misquoting or I'm misleading the public, because there are people who are listening to Phumzile or to listen to Silo. So if I push a certain narrative, which is a lie, and people will agree with that. But if you challenge us on the radio to say, hey, Silo, you are incorrect. By the way, this is what is the truth. And then I think that is a positive attitude and a positive radio whereby we learn. It does not matter who you are. And then, by the way, do you know that Phumzile, I think is a ANC councillor or was the ANC councillor?
Oh, I didn't
Let's
know
ask
that.
him what he did for the people where he is residing. Thank you, John.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Silo. Having a bit of a go at Phumzile there. Shai in Thalaboa is on the line to us. Shai, hi, good morning.
Morning, John.
You want to talk about elections, I believe?
Yeah, I want to talk about the election. You see, we got a lot of parties which are registering on the system. So my question is, these people who are on this local government, I went to the shop on Saturday. You see, this shop, before you buy something, they need your ID number. They need your ID number, all your cell phones. So I wanted to know why you.
Were you buying on credit, or were you paying cash?
No, you buy when you buy cash.
Why would they need your ID number? That sounds strange, Shai.
To ask about this thing, I say, why you need when we buy on your shops, you need our ID number, our cell phones. Why do you use with these numbers? So my thinking is that maybe they take these numbers to register their candidate with them, because even at the big shops on the malls now, when you go to the malls, you find people with the phones. They say, we need your ID number, we need you something. So when I'm sitting thinking, I say, where did they take these numbers to?
Okay, no, I'm very interested in that, because there are certain circumstances under which they require your ID, right? If you're buying on credit, for example, they'll require your ID. If you are perhaps buying a new cell phone or something like that, you need to be FICA'd, you need to be RICA'd, all of those things. But if you're just paying cash at a shop, I don't understand why they would need your ID number, even if you're using a bank card. What would they need your ID number for? That sounds a little bit strange. All right, let's just see what's coming through on the WhatsApp line. One of you is commenting on the DA manifesto.
Morning, Joanne. So DA says it wants to use private sector in municipality. Isn't that some sort of a capture to municipality? Because municipality is supposed to do their job, have workers that are working for them. So if private sector take over everything, what kind of work will the municipality employees rather do when already everything is taken up by private sector? It's a worrying factor. It's a worrying factor. The people who are going to vote for DA must think twice, because it shows that this party want to privatize everything. Thank you, Joanne. Bugani, it's a way.
All right, Bangani, thank you very much for that. And I think we must have a longer discussion about this issue of privatization. In certain instances, I feel if people have the expertise, if companies have a particular type of expertise that the municipality doesn't, there are probably cases where you need specialists to do certain things, and some of those functions can be outsourced. But just having that level of information and power in the hands of any private sector company, it makes me very uncomfortable as a citizen. I felt this way when there was a private company working in our area installing fiber and installing cameras in our area. Excuse me, it was happening in a lot of suburbs around us as well. And my husband and I spoke about this for a long time and said, well, should we give permission for this? Should we agree to this? Should we be standing up to this as private citizens? Because what it means is that there's a private company. You don't know who that company is owned by, who has shares in that company, who they can possibly sell this information to about your movements, but they're tracking you 24 hours a day. Right? Those are near your house. They can see who comes into your house, who comes out of your house, what time of day that kind of thing happens. I'm uncomfortable about private information being in the hands of multiple private entities. And tell me how you feel about that. Am I being paranoid, right? Am I being a conspiracy theorist by saying that this is a dangerous thing? I'm happy to hear from you on that. 9:30 on the Daily Discourse. Just before we go through to Anne Musa for your latest headlines, it looks as though Fadil Adams is on the stand. I mean, this is what I am seeing. I'm going to come back to you with an update on that, but we'll catch up with Anne Musa and I'll bring you the latest information in just a short while.
Good morning. Thanks, Joanne. In the headlines, police say 14 suspected illegal miners have been killed in Nkaneng near Rustenburg in the northwest. Details are still sketchy. Senior provincial police officials are on their way to the crime scene. The Eastern Cape Transport Department says most mountain passes that were closed have been reopened. This as the snowfall subsides across the province. And scientists say they've discovered how dogs pick up on people's moods. In their study, 14 dogs were connected to a brain scanner and shown pictures of human faces. I'll have details on these and other stories at 10.
The Daily Discourse. More than talk, real understanding.
9:31 on the Daily Discourse, and I am just confirming for you that Fadil Adams, the head of the NCC, is sitting in front of the Madlanga Commission as we speak. Matthew Chaskelson, evidence leader, addressing him at the moment. The evidence leaders, or the judges are there. They're in place. Justice Madlanga there, together with his cohorts. And it'll be interesting to see what's actually going to happen on the stand at the Madlanga Commission today. I'm not sure whether Fadil Adams is going to testify, or whether he's going to explain why he's not able to testify today, or whether there will be some kind of interaction over why exactly that might not be possible this morning. But I'm going to keep you updated on that as it unfolds in the next few minutes. Let me take some of your calls in the meantime. Bonakele in Cape Town is on the line to us. Bonakele, good morning.
A very good morning, JJ. How are you doing?
I'm a little cold, Bonakele, to be honest, but I'll be okay, I think. Thank you. I'm sure you're colder than I am in your part of the world.
Not really. No? Not really cold. It's a very good weather in Cape Town, of course.
Oh, you lucky.
Yes, yeah.
You lucky people for a change.
We're so lucky. I was speaking to one of my cousins who's in Joburg. Said it's very cold. I say, I'm so sorry. But it must be cold because it's winter, so to speak.
I know. I'm just a wimp, Bonakele. I'm a complete wimp when it comes to winter.
Yeah, okay. Look, I would like to do a follow-up regarding of what we were talking about in the previous caller regarding Pumzile and all that stuff. You know, one thing that I've learned about a debate, it's something that I always say, we'll always have different views, whether one likes it or not, and especially we, the ANC supporters, we will definitely try by all means to defend the ANC. For instance, if I may ask you, or if anyone who's listening right now, I always differ with people who say the ANC is corrupt. Do you think everyone in the ANC is corrupt? And the answer, before you give me an answer, I will say no. So I cannot agree with someone who says the entire ANC leadership is or members of ANC are corrupt, all of them. I always disagree with them. Same applies with someone who will say this government is led by the ANC. This is not an ANC government. This is the government of national unity. Why people don't want to understand that?
True, but Kelly, the ANC still, and I think you're right. You can't say that everyone in every political party is corrupt. It's simply not true, right? But the ANC does account for the majority in the government of national unity, and they hold some of the biggest portfolios there. Right, and that makes a material difference, Bonakele. It's not irrespective to be a deputy minister in a portfolio versus being an actual minister. You know, there's a big difference in terms of the power differential there, right? And they hold the big portfolios, and that is quite material to the work that government does or doesn't do.
Meaning, even with the crime rate that is so very high, is it the ANC that saves, or is the government of the national unity? Because it's a government. ANC is not governing this country alone. It is GNU.
Yes.
There's different parties that are there.
That's
so therefore,
quite right.
Are you going to sideline and say the ANC? You're going to point a finger to the ANC as they always do. No, this ANC government.
Kelly, nobody said that. I mean, you need to be fair.
No,
about
I always hear some of them saying that.
Yes, people
especially
do.
At Mhlobo.
Okay, well, this is SAFM. I can't account for what's said on Mhlobo, but on SAFM, you know, I would correct people if they were to say the ANC government. I do remind people that we're in an era of a government of national unity now. But having said that, I mean, the police minister, the acting police minister, is an ANC minister. The minister on special leave is an ANC minister. Right? So if you want to talk about crime in the country, how can you not point to the ANC's record that predates the current government and the state of the police force as a consequence of ANC governance in this country? Do you understand what I'm saying, Bonakele? We can't look at it in isolation just because we have a GNU in power now. We've got a whole history of many years of ANC governance behind this, and much of what has broken down happened on their watch. And I think we need to be conscious of that if we're going to be fair in our arguments.
What do you say to someone who says, we don't have a government? We don't have a government. 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 We don't have a government
No, I mean, that's
What is-
silly.
what-
Clearly we do, okay? So we
We
can't...
do
I
have
mean,
a government.
Yes,
I
yes.
always correct them when I say, well, we don't have a government here. And I'll always tell them, we do have a government. It is the government of national unity.
Yeah,
of course.
but maybe they
Have a
mean you
nice
don't
one.
have an effective government.
Bye-bye. Have a nice one.
Thank you, Bonakele. Thank you very much for that. Pumzile is back on the line to us from the Eastern Cape. Pumzile, good morning. I think you took a bit of flack this morning from our other listeners. Hello. Hi.
Thank you very much. I became a national celebrity.
Yes, you were the talking point this morning.
Good morning, Joanne, and good morning to the listeners, and most particularly good morning to Selo. Indeed, let me actually do that disclaimer. I am an ANC councillor, a PR councillor of the ANC.
Okay.
What I do for the ANC as a deployee and the people of Koga, where I actually reside, will not be known, Joanne, by Selo, because Selo is a few kilometers away from where I reside, so he won't know. My assessment is actually done by the ANC. But, yesterday I want to profusely apologize to you first. Both of us were interjecting whilst one was actually putting a point. I interjected whilst you were speaking. You equally interjected when I was making my point. So I profusely apologize for that interjection in my part. But let me appreciate the assertions made or input made by Bonakele. Bonakele is my comrade and always will come on this platform. This is a platform of battles of ideas. If one does not actually understand, we have to actually present our ideas freely so. My point remains, Joanne, that there's no political party, and there was an agreement, a consensus between myself and you.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, no political party shall have a meeting, take minutes, and instruct Pumzile to go and commit wrong in its name. We agree there's no political party that can do that. We equally agree that ANC is a brand.
Yes.
And we have to make sure that any individual that taints that brand, that individual is not suitable to be a member of the ANC. Lastly, we equally agree that there might have been delays in dealing, in fact, with shenanigans that are within the ANC, most particularly a person today who's no more a member of the ANC but remains to be a subject matter within the circles of national politics, which is Utatu Msholozi. So we might have delayed that, and the ANC, we must agree that we should have acted sooner. Because look, the damage that is there today on the brand ANC because of the individual and some other individual, and the brand, Joanne, the brand ANC will remain a brand that is sacrosanct, that must be respected by its members, and members should not commit wrong in the name of that brand.
Yeah,
so
no,
that's all I wanted
you.
to come
I agree
and
with you,
clarify.
Pumzile. Thank you. And I don't. You didn't need to apologize at all. You were in no way disrespectful, Pumzile. We just had a robust argument yesterday, which sometimes happens on talk radio, and it's completely natural. But you were in no way insulting or anything or disrespectful, not at all. We simply disagreed on the content of what was said. But thank you for your call. And I agree with you that people within the ANC, in fact, people within all of these brands, need to respect them, because all political parties are brands, right? And if you are within that brand, it would be in your best interests and in the party's interests not to fall foul of what that brand stands for. Right, so I'm, we can keep debating these things, but certainly I think there's some merit to the fact that if you are representing that brand and you behave badly, I think it's commonly accepted that it does bring that brand into disrepute. And sometimes it's not about what was agreed to in the meetings. It's often about what happens outside of the formal structures of these parties. That is sometimes where things fall apart. Well, most often perhaps where things fall apart. All right, let me just keep you updated on what's going on. The Madlanga Commission is still on the go at this point, and Justice Madlanga is addressing Fadil Adams, who's on the stand right now. Fadil Adams is, of course, the head of the National Coloured Commission, and he has said in the last few minutes that a faulty laptop prevented him from submitting his statement earlier. So he was supposed to have submitted that statement earlier on. He apparently only managed to do it last night. So Justice Madlanga is addressing him on that issue right now. And a few minutes ago, the evidence leader Matthew Chaskelson asked for the commission to stand down till the 19th of August. So that is next week sometime. So I'm not sure whether he's asked that Fadil Adams do that or the commission do that, but we'll find out in the next few minutes exactly how this pans out, and I'll keep updating you as information becomes available. I'll keep updating you on what is going on there. 9:42 on the Daily Discourse.
Is what we are becoming. SAfm, leading the conversations that move us.
Before there was the SAfm you know today, there was the English service, there was Radio South Africa, Radio South Africa, and there was a country going through extraordinary change.
Hello. Good morning, Mr. Raphael.
From the darkness of apartheid,
I have to inform honourable members.
through the states of emergency,
Earlier, it was reported an explosion had occurred at an ESCOM.
through the release of Nelson Mandela,
Comrades and fellow South Africans, I greet you all.
through the birth of a democratic South Africa.
As we know, elections do not create change, they create only the opportunity for change.
The conversations continued, and in 1995, a new SAfm emerged. A new country, a new voice, a new chapter. This August, SAfm looks back at the journey that brought us here. The voices, the moments, the people, the history. 90 years of conversation, a nation story, our shared future. SAfm turns 90 from 1 August. SAfm, the conversation continues. The Daily Discourse on SAfm, weekday mornings from 9 to 12.
Heading for 9:45 on the Daily Discourse, an acting National Police Commissioner, Puleng Dimpane, is worried about politically motivated violence in the run-up to the 4th of November local government elections. Nat Joins as a whole is equally worried. Several killings of members of the ANC, the EFF, the DA and the MK party have been killed have taken place since the start of this year. And it's not uncommon for political killings to increase in the preamble to the ballot. Most recently, organised crime researcher Julian Rademeyer has pointed out that 25 people have been killed in pre-election violence, and there have been 22 violent incidents in 5 provinces ahead of this election in particular. Let's speak to independent researcher in policing crime and criminal justice, David Bruce, who joins us to explore this. Mr. Bruce, good morning and thank you for your time on the Daily Discourse. Why do we always see a surge in political killings just ahead of Election Day?
Hi, good morning. Hi, good morning. Well, the answer would be that, the general understanding is that these killings tend to be more strongly associated with local government elections than, for instance, with national or provincial elections. But what they clearly point to is that, access to political office at local government level is seen as a mission. But what they clearly point to is that, access to political office at local government level is seen as a means of accessing resources, whether it's through the ability to influence procurement, or it's about the salaries that are paid to councillors, or the ability to influence appointments, for instance. But there's the manner in which people are able to have greater influence over the distribution of local government resources seems to be the primary motivation for this phenomenon.
And do we know who is generally behind these attacks? Is it people vying for the same positions, perhaps?
Well, you see, in many ways, it isn't that clearly understood. The one thing is what is now broadly acknowledged is that many of these killings are often. What is now broadly acknowledged is that many of these killings are often involve people within the same political party. In the past, political violence in South Africa, was seen as being about political ideologies and about contestation between different political parties. But it can either be either of the above. But basically, it's people who are contesting local government positions related to being able to have this kind of influence over how local government resources are distributed.
The police have arrested 7 suspects whom they say are responsible for the latest killings. But prior to this, we were also told that the Political Killings Task Team had arrested more than 400 suspects since 2018. If that's so, why wouldn't these killings have stopped?
Right. Well, that's an interesting question. But the one thing is that to a significant degree that the Political Killings Task Team its work has been focused in KZN. There has been some work outside of KZN, but it's primarily been in KZN. And I think, there's always a question about exactly how to assess the number of political killings. Because, after a killing, until you've actually identified the perpetrators, and even in those circumstances, but you often don't know what the motive is. And so often, what people are doing is simply saying that if someone who is, for instance, a political candidate or a political office holder is killed, then that is a political killing, when it could, be a robbery, for instance. So, if one's looking at the PKTT, it's possible that they have had something of an impact in KZN, which has always been the kind of epicenter of these killings. But what's also happened, in the last 15 years or so, is that political killings have become more widespread in South Africa. So, for instance, if we're looking at, according to Julian Rademeyer's figures, of the 9 killings where which are confirmed to be political killings, there's actually more in Gauteng than in KZN, and a similar number in the Western Cape to in KZN, and as well as killings in Northwest and the Eastern Cape. So it was used to be a phenomenon which was seemingly almost synonymous with 1 or 2 provinces, primarily KZN. But now it's become much more distributed. So
why would the work of the PKTT not be extended to other provinces as a logical counter move, Mr. Bruce?
Well, you see, this goes back to this issue of kind of strategic leadership. For many years, we haven't really had, effective strategic leadership of the police. And so, when they were established, I think the assumption still was that the phenomenon was, a KZN phenomenon and had to be tackled in KZN. But one would have liked to see that, that approach modified, of course, but. That hasn't been done.
Yeah. I mean, police say they have intelligence, they have an operational plan, they'll be visible, particularly on election day. Do you believe they have the intelligence and the operational capacity to clamp down on these political killings, even without the PKTT's reach extending to other provinces?
Well, you see, the question about kind of, the risk of violence on election day is in many ways entirely different from the question of political killings. Potentially, one might have groups of people who trying to disrupt the elections a bit or something like that, but it typically hasn't been a major phenomenon. But it seems that, what has been documented is that the phenomenon of assassinations is a cross-cutting one. It's partly one which is manifested in political life, but is more broadly associated with different element of organized crime, with, for instance, the taxi industry and so on. And so, one would have to have a kind of sustained investigative and information gathering approach, which is, orientated towards digging much more deeply into the overall problem of, the use of assassinations in South Africa to uproot the problem. I don't think that, by simply focusing on political killing, one can really address the problem.
Thank you so much for your insight. That was David Bruce, independent researcher, and he deals with this issue of political killings and criminal justice. Let's bring into the conversation Becky Stofile. He is the SALGA president. Mr. Stofile, good morning and welcome to the program. A very, very worrying increase in the number of political killings before the elections. What's your take on what is now starting to happen around the country?
Good morning to you and to your listeners, and thank you very much for having us. Indeed, it is a worrying phenomenon. But this worrying phenomenon to us, it started a long time ago, and that is why it propelled us or prompted us to conduct a research. As you know and realize that later 2015 to 2016, we have seen the rise. And then we also then said, if this matter is not dealt with, unfortunately, is going to spread and then is going to affect many other innocent people, being traditional leaders, judges and magistrates. And indeed, what we have seen over time, which it was not taken serious when we said this in 2018, and we have seen really the matter, it has been spread. What is our take really on this matter? Is a very serious weakness on the crime intelligence gathering and swift response from those that are given a responsibility. And what it has happened, what we have realized happening generally, is it was the capture of the same people that's supposed to provide safety and security to ordinary citizens. And you can see this, how it permeates itself in the country. You are paying 3 times more on security and protection as a citizen. And it tells you that the country as a whole is experiencing difficulties with regard to safety and security. It becomes more vulnerable then to the local government practitioners, because the politics today, they've experienced the process where even criminal elements have decided to actively participate in the politics and camouflage with the leadership responsibility of various political parties. It's like when you open a window, you want fresh air, and to your surprise, you see mosquitoes coming through your window. And this is the situation that you are facing generally, and it starts back from the political outlook of the country.
So how does one solve that, Mr. Stofile? Because what you're saying is I think you're quite right in what you're saying. Certainly the research bears that out. But what you're saying is that the system is rotten to the core. That actually some of the criminals, if I've understood you correctly, some of the criminality resides within the political institutions themselves. How does one root it out?
The first thing is that... my leader, the first thing is that those that are in political leadership or political office, they must accept that the situation in which they are operating under is completely different than the situation it was before. And remember, these issues, to me, it informed by a number of things. One of the things is that the unemployment rate, the inequality, and many other issues that play an active role, and that is why then criminals, because they've seen that politics become lucrative business, and then in that lucrative business, they had to enter into that space so that they can be able to direct certain things towards their criminal interests that they have. And if we want to deal with that, is political parties to be genuine and to be honest to themselves, because that's where the first thing it must come out, it must be rooted out, because that's where it starts, and then impact into society and impact into government in different forms.
Thank you so much for speaking to us today. Bheki Stofile, he is the SALGA president, and we're talking about the issue of political killings. And I'd love to hear from you on that. How do we solve this? Mr. Stofile there making a very important comment about how once the door was open from a political point of view, you had criminality entering at the same time. And that has taken root at a very, very deep level. And so this is not an isolated thing where, you've got criminals coming in and essentially attacking people. The criminality may exist within the politics itself, within the political entities themselves. How does one root that out of the entities? Surely that is the responsibility of the political parties on the ground, particularly in the run-up to an election. All right, I want to just play some of our voice notes for you. You've been waiting to be heard for a little while. Let's listen to this one on local government.
Morning, Joanne, SAfm Prince in Durban. Joanne, this issue of local municipalities, why can't we just get rid of it, put it on standstill? Because right now it's just a waste, it's useless, it's a waste of our tax money. It's even in the cost of our people's lives, because so far it's just being run like private family businesses for all these politicians. Hence, even the reasons these guys will go to the extent of even fighting and killing each other for such positions.
And then one of you says, morning, why should we defend political parties when they are deemed corrupt? If they don't exercise consequence management, the whole party is tainted.
For such positions.
And then one of you says, morning, why should we defend political parties when they are deemed corrupt? If they don't exercise consequence management, the whole party is tainted as corrupt, says Ismail Ngumalo in Pietermaritzburg. And then I'm going to take you to this one on the Madlanga Commission. And let me just quickly tell you what's happened there. Essentially, Matthew Chaskelson, the evidence leader, had his way. He asked that Fadil Adams, the NCC leader, step down from the stand till the 19th of August. So Fadil Adams has been excused. His testimony is going to resume on the 19th of August. They've taken a short break at the Madlanga Commission right now, but in a short while, IDAC State Advocate Rushantha Ramsamy is going to take the stand. We already saw her sitting there a little while ago, and she is going to continue her testimony for now at the Madlanga Commission. All right, let's listen to this voice note on that issue.
Good morning, Joanne and your team. This is Sakilin Win from Wanklabyalingan. Joanne, the Madlanga Commission should take decisive actions against those who are delaying its processes. For example, Adams knew a long time ago that he was to appear before the Madlanga Commission. Despite that, he decided to submit his evidence late last night. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And the reason that he gave was that he had a problem with his laptop, apparently. Which is kind of mind-blowing, if you ask me. How is that your excuse for not preparing the evidence that is required, your statement as required for a commission of this magnitude? The entire country is watching you. You've got 3 senior judges there. You've got evidence leaders, all of whom have prepared to be able to question you. You have been their focus for the last few days in terms of every little bit of work and every bit of preparation they have done. And then you simply decide, well, my laptop's not working, so, I won't do it. Handwrite it if needs be. Ask a friend if you can borrow his laptop or hers. Use someone's iPad. Do it on your phone if needs be. But you do not delay the work of the Madlanga Commission for a reason like that? I mean, am I being hard on him? You tell me. 086 000 2032. 10 o'clock on the Daily Discourse. Let's catch up with Anne Musa for your latest news bulletin.
Thanks, Joanne. In our top stories, 14 suspected illegal miners found dead near Rustenburg and no isolation of communities in the Eastern Cape. Good morning. More details are emerging on the 14 suspected illegal miners whose bodies were found in an abandoned shaft in Nkaneng near Rustenburg in the northwest. Reports say the group was operating at the disused mining site. However, it's not clear how the suspected miners died. Senior provincial police officials are on their way to the crime scene, where investigations are expected to start. The Eastern Cape Transport Department says no communities have been adversely isolated in the province as severe weather conditions continue. Parts of the province have experienced snowfall. The department says the snow has subsided, but fog and drizzle have persisted. It also says teams have remained on high alert. The department spokesperson, Unati Bingoshe.
We haven't experienced a flood. Badly affected by these steady rains in the Eastern Cape, were able to respond to them. We did hear that in the Alexandria area, which is in the Sarah Batman, there is a road collapse.
Hello. Guru are putting on a spectacular winter display this morning.